Chapter 3987. The owner of private room number 2 was the once famous saint thief, heavenly demonic rat king. This made everyone exclaim in shock, and some of them were furious. They couldn't wait to rush in and tear the heavenly demonic rat king into pieces. Especially the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder in private room number 5. With him as the center, the entire private room number 5 was covered in a thick layer of frost. Everyone knew that he was angry. However, the heavenly demonic rat king was fearless. He even promised Fang Chen that as long as Fang Chen gave him the fossil, he would help him steal whatever he needed. This was a promise made by the heavenly demonic rat king. Many people were jealous. However, Fang Chen was unmoved. "If you want it, let's fight on the stage. There's no need to do this," Fang Chen said indifferently. The fossil was important to him, and he didn't mind offending anyone. Moreover, he had never heard of the heavenly demonic rat king. Even if the heavenly demonic rat king came to find trouble with him, Huang Xiaolong wasn't afraid. One must know that Fang Chen was infinitely close to 11th order true saint realm. As long as he finished condensing the ultimate force, he would officially step into 11th order true saint realm. At that time, he would be invincible under the Venerable realm. He wouldn't even be afraid of the ancient civilization's experts. Now, the only thing he was worried about was the devil-devouring patriarch coming out of seclusion in advance. After all, he was a genuine Venerable realm expert. Moreover, he had single-handedly created the Battle of Gods in the past. At the cost of it, he had plundered 2/3 of the Chaos World's heavenly Tao origin, causing the Chaos World to fall into a state of decline. After absorbing so much heavenly Tao origin, if he really stepped into the legendary Chaos Controller realm, there would be nothing he could do. Fang Chen shook his head hard and collected his thoughts. He heard the clamor outside. Some people were scolding him for being stupid, while others were praising his courage. Of course, most of them were the heavenly demonic rat king's angry roars. "Are you determined to go against me, the heavenly demonic rat king?" In private room number 2, the heavenly demonic rat king issued his final ultimatum. Everyone present knew the consequences of going against the heavenly demonic rat king. There was once a sect that didn't believe the heavenly demonic rat king and publicly insulted the heavenly demonic rat king. 3 days later, the sect's heavenly demonic rat king's foundation was destroyed. After that, heavenly demonic rat kings, heavenly demonic rat kings, heavenly demonic rat king. For so many years, the heavenly demonic rat king. Seeing that Fang Chen was silent, the heavenly demonic rat king snorted. "All right, I will remember you." After that, the heavenly demonic rat king stopped bidding. Anyway, he was already thinking about Fang Chen. As soon as the auction ended, he would use his ability to steal everything from Fang Chen's body. He would also use his power to turn the sect behind Fang Chen upside down. So, why would he waste his money? This guy is not rational. Yeah, he didn't even give face to the heavenly demonic rat king. Sigh, if I were him, I would definitely give face to the heavenly demonic rat king. Then, I can get what I want. Don't think that the heavenly demonic rat king is a kind person. Do you dare to take his promise? Some people sighed, some people were gloating. In short, everyone in the auction hall had different expressions. In the end, the beautiful MC on the stage was stunned for a while. Then, she helplessly announced that the rat fossil was sold to the owner of private room number 9 at the price of 30,000 saint-level weapons. Now, this is the last item of the auction. The beautiful MC returned to normal. Her face revealed a faint smile as she started to introduce the item to everyone. From the tray, everyone saw a finger bone. At first glance, this finger bone appeared ordinary and mediocre. There was simply nothing special about it. However, upon closer inspection, the crowd's expressions became completely serious. They felt a power that seemed capable of destroying the heavens and extinguishing the earth circulating within the finger bone. That is, some warriors with weak primordial spirit staggered and quickly retracted their soul consciousness. Their faces were pale and they were scared. Fortunately, they retreated in time. Otherwise, their primordial spirit would have been destroyed by that destructive force. The eyes of the powerful martialists were filled with shock as they stared dumbfoundedly at the finger bone. Whose finger bone is this? Why is it so powerful? Someone exclaimed. Could it be the finger bone of a supreme being expert? Sure enough. Under everyone's shock, the beautiful MC revealed the origin of the finger bone. Your guess is correct. This finger bone is indeed the finger bone of a supreme being. The beautiful MC took a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. Then, she slowly said, this finger bone came from the God's Fall battlefield. After being appraised by countless appraisers of our profound dragon pavilion, it was finally determined that the owner of this finger bone should be a supreme being expert from the ancient civilization era. The ancient civilization era was an extremely ancient era. The martial Tao was prosperous and the cultivation system was complete. It was an era where experts were born in large numbers. At that time, the supreme being realm wasn't as far away as it was now. It had even become a legend and it was difficult for it to appear. In that ancient civilization era, although the supreme being realm was difficult to cultivate, at least there was a path to walk. As long as one cultivated to a certain level, in addition to talent and other factors, there was still hope to step into the supreme being realm. However, in the years that followed, everyone knew what happened. The cultivation environment became harsh. Today, the supreme being realm had become a legend. In that case, this finger bone was extremely important. Since it's the finger bone of a supreme being, why is the profound dragon pavilion auctioning it? Someone voiced out their doubts. That's right. Since you've already appraised it, why are you still auctioning such a precious item? Could it be fake? Someone voiced out their doubts. The continuous questioning caused the crowd's expression to become even more complicated. They were waiting for the profound dragon pavilion's reply. Everyone. The beautiful MC waved her hand, indicating for everyone to be quiet. I can swear in the name of the profound dragon pavilion that this finger bone is truly the finger bone of a supreme being. Furthermore, its owner was an expert from the ancient civilization era. It's extremely possible that he had fallen in the God's Fall battlefield at some point in time. The reason why our profound dragon pavilion is auctioning it is because we are unable to decipher the secret of the finger bone, said the beautiful MC. How could something left behind by a supreme being expert be so easy to obtain? You clearly know that it's the finger bone of a supreme being, and you also know that it contains a heaven-shaking opportunity. However, you are unable to decipher it. A finger bone that cannot be deciphered is no different from an ordinary finger bone. Rather than that, it's better to auction it and exchange it for more resources so that the profound dragon pavilion can continue to develop. End of chapter. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 3988. Although some people were still guessing whether it was a fake finger bone, more people chose to believe it. Just like what the beautiful MC had said, even though they knew it was the sovereign finger bone, with Shenlong Pavilion's strength, they could not decipher it. As long as they could not decipher it, it was equivalent to a useless bone. Rather than that, they might as well auction it off and exchange it for more cultivation resources. One should know that on the path of martial arts, cultivation resources were the biggest competition. Between the sects, they competed on cultivation resources. Whoever had more cultivation resources would have a deeper foundation. Of course, there were some exceptions. The age of Dharma was coming. No one knew when the catastrophe would happen. All the major forces were fighting to train their disciples. Even the 4 holy lands of the devouring devil clan were frantically searching for cultivation resources. Everyone, I have made myself clear. As for whether you want to bid, you can decide for yourselves, said the beautiful MC. Of course. Although I am not sure if it is the sovereign finger bone, as long as there is a chance, I will bid. That's right. If it is really the sovereign finger bone, once I decipher it, I might be able to reach the sovereign level. Let's start. Stop wasting time. In the auction house, everyone was urging the crowd. The scholar in the corner was tempted. Wang Teng of the Wang family of the Fire Tribe also wanted to bid. However, he turned his head and looked at the VIP rooms. In the end, he gave up. I wonder who will get it in the end, Wang Teng thought to himself. Under everyone's gaze, the beautiful MC finally announced the start of the auction. Boom. The crowd below started bidding crazily. In the blink of an eye, the price had risen to a terrifying level. Many people gave up when they saw the price. The scholar and Wang Ting also gave up helplessly. However, this was just the beginning. The next few VIP rooms started bidding one after another. The competition between the VIP rooms was the main event. The first to speak was the fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain in the fifth VIP room. He bid 30,000 pieces. I bid 40,000 pieces. The owner of the third VIP room had given up earlier. Now, he was determined to get the finger bone. A bunch of fools. I'll offer 50,000 items. The person who spoke up was Thief Sage from VIP room number 2. The moment he spoke up, everyone was stunned. Everyone could hear a trace of anger in Holy Thief's voice. The little mouse's fossil had been snatched away by someone else. Now, he was determined to obtain the finger bone. 60,000. From the beginning to the end, the guest in VIP room number 1, who had been silent all this time, finally started to bid. I withdraw. The Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder announced his withdrawal. For a finger bone that might or might not have been left behind by a supreme being, he had offered such a high price. He had no way of explaining it to the Great Snow Mountain. The owner of VIP room 3 also gave up. This price had already exceeded his expectations. Moreover, as the owner of VIP room 1 joined the bidding, the price would definitely soar. He guessed that the final price would probably exceed 100,000 pieces. What kind of concept was 100,000 pieces? Even the Great Snow Mountain might not be able to afford it. 70,000. Thief Sage from VIP room number 2 said coldly. Over the years, I have also obtained a lot of resources. Although I don't have so many saint-level weapons, these resources can be offset by the same price. As expected of Thief Sage. The value of one person is comparable to the Great Snow Mountain. A mocking voice came from VIP room number 1. If my guess is correct, most of your wealth comes from the Great Snow Mountain, right? As soon as this was said, an angry voice came from VIP room number 5. Thief Sage's methods were very special. Over the years, the Great Snow Mountain had been tracking him but to no avail. Instead, they had spent a lot of resources. Now that the owner of VIP room number 1 had said it out in public, the fifth elder felt very embarrassed. However, he controlled himself and did not fly into a rage. Who are you? Thief Sage's eyes were burning as he stared at VIP room number 1 and asked. Is it important? The owner of VIP room number 1 laughed. Anyway, this finger bone will be mine in the end. Too arrogant. This was the thought in everyone's mind. However, they could not refute it. 100,000 pieces. The owner of VIP room number 1 raised the price to 100,000 pieces in one breath. Who exactly are you? Thief Sage was really sullen. The little mouse fossil was snatched away by Fang Chen from VIP room number 9. Now, this finger bone was also snatched away by the owner of VIP room number 1. He almost went berserk. The owner of VIP room number 1 directly ignored Thief Sage's anger. If you don't increase the price, then I will be disrespectful. Chimph, I won't be crazy with you. Thief Sage sneered. So what if you get it? I, Thief Sage, have never failed to get what I want. He was threatening the owner of VIP room number 1. Even if you get it, I have a way to steal it from you. Put away your tricks. It is useless against me. Thief Sage did not increase the price. Obviously, he was prepared to steal it from the owner of VIP room number 1 after it ended. Since no one is increasing the price, the owner of VIP room number 1 had a smile on his face. The auction house was dead silent. No one increased the price. Then the supreme finger bone should be in his hands. However, at this moment, a familiar voice sounded again. 110,000 pieces. Number 9, it was VIP room number 9 again. Everyone was in an uproar. Who was the owner of VIP room number 9? Previously, he didn't give Thief Sage any face. Now, he didn't even give face to the owner of VIP room number 1. The beautiful MC on the stage was also dumbfounded. How many powerful people were there in this auction? Who was the owner of VIP room number 1 and VIP room number 9? He could actually take out so many sacred class weapons. Sir, are you here to cause trouble? The owner of VIP room number 1 said after pondering for a long time. Fang Chen did not say anything. Since he had many sacred class weapons, he didn't care at all. I bid 150,000. The owner of VIP room number 1 gritted his teeth and directly increased the price to 150,000 pieces. This had already surpassed the previous record of the Mystic Dragon auction. A new record was born. 200,000 pieces. Fang Chen raised the price nonchalantly. However, in the eyes of the crowd, they were all stunned. Such a crazy increase in price. Not showing any mercy to the owner of VIP room number 1 at all. Thief Sage in VIP room number 2 was also in deep thought. Who was the owner of VIP room number 9? If he could really take out 200,000 sacred class weapons or wealth of the same value, then it was worth thinking about. 250,000 pieces. This was the owner of VIP room number 1's final struggle. However, before he could finish his words, Fang Chen directly increased the price to 300,000 pieces. Boom. He could clearly feel a terrifying murderous aura coming from VIP room number 1. Chapter 3989. The owner of VIP room 1 was determined to get the finger bone. The owners of the other VIP rooms had all given up. Even the owner of VIP room 2, God Thief, and the owner of VIP room 5, the Great Snow Mountain's 5th Elder, did not dare to compete with him. However, the owner of VIP room 9 had interfered and raised the price to an abnormal level. He had offended so many people consecutively. Who exactly was the owner of VIP room number 9? Was he not afraid? Many people were guessing. Was he an expert from the 4 great holy lands of the devouring demon clan? Otherwise, why would he be so high profile? 300,000. Fang Chen casually raised the price to 300,000. To him, there were too many sacred grade weapons. He did not need to worry. He did not believe that there was anyone present who could compete with him in terms of price. Humph. A terrifying murderous aura came from VIP room 1. The air in the entire auction house froze in an instant. Everyone's body involuntarily trembled. The owner of VIP room 1 has shown his killing intent. I don't know who the owner of VIP room 9 is. He actually raised the price to such an extent. Do you guys think that he's an actor from the mysterious Dragon Pavilion? Someone raised such a question. However, it was quickly refuted by others. The mysterious Dragon Pavilion would not hire an actor for such a matter. Even if they did, they would not raise the price to such a terrifying extent. This person should have a great background. He's definitely not a lone wolf. He should be an expert from a top force. Even the Great Snow Mountain can't take out so many sacred grade weapons at once. Do they think that sacred grade weapons are watermelons that can be found everywhere? In terms of wealth, which force can compare to the 4 great holy lands? In terms of sacred grade weapons, I think that the 4 great holy lands should be second to none. It is said that there was once a top blacksmith in the origin world who was recruited by the 4 great holy lands. Based on today's scene, I suspect that the owner of VIP room 9 is from the 4 great holy lands. His analysis was reasonable, and the surrounding crowd nodded in agreement. Some people went to ask the experts of the devouring demon tribe. After all, the 4 great holy lands were the holy lands of the devouring demon tribe. They might know something. However, the result disappointed everyone. The strong cultivators of the devouring demon clan did not know who the owner of VIP room 9 was, but they were confident that no one could compete with the 4 holy lands when it came to holy weapons. In other words, other than the 4 great holy lands, there was no other force that could take out so many saint-level weapons at once. The owner of VIP room 1 fell into a long period of silence. The beautiful MC on stage didn't rush him. Every second was torture for the audience. They wanted to see an even more intense competition, but they also wanted to see who would have the last laugh. At this moment, inside VIP room 1 was an old man with a head full of white hair. His eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of silver frost. His entire body exuded a terrifying aura. If it weren't for the auction house, he would have already attacked. "Master, what should we do?" a red-haired man beside him asked in a low voice. He also did not expect that there would actually be someone who dared to challenge his master. "Chimpage, am I too low-key? Has the world already forgotten the fear I once had?" After a long period of silence, the white-haired old man said in a sinister voice. "If that's the case, then I'll take this opportunity to let the world know me again." At this point, the white-haired old man seemed to have made a crazy decision. He gritted his teeth and began to raise the price. 350,000. A strange look flashed across the red-haired man's eyes. His heart trembled. He did not expect to see his master's power again after so many years. Others might not know, but he knew that his master was a world-renowned blacksmith. In the origin world, he was the only one who could refine a peerless holy weapon. A basic saint-level weapon was a piece of cake for him. This time, his master had originally planned to bring him out for training, but when he passed by Profound Dragon Pavilion, he accidentally heard that this auction would involve an item belonging to a prime. Hence, he came to participate. He was not interested in any of the items before this, but he was very interested in this finger bone. This was also his first time bidding, and he actually encountered such great resistance. The white-haired old man no longer pondered over the value of this finger bone. There was only a single thought in his mind, and that was to defeat the owner of VIP room number 9. "Aren't you very strong? Then I'll use the method I'm best at to defeat you." The white-haired old man sneered. Competing with him in terms of number of weapons was simply laughable. Although he did not have that many saint-level weapons on him right now, his name was priceless. As long as he was willing to refine them, he could easily refine a saint-level weapon at any time. 400,000. Fang Chen did not feel any pressure as he raised the price at a neither fast nor slow pace. 450,000, 550,000, 550,000, 600,000, 1 million. When the price rose to 1 million, everyone was stupefied. This was merely a finger bone. Furthermore, it was still uncertain whether or not it belonged to a sovereign. Heavens, wasn't this too crazy? 1 million basic saint-level weapons were priceless. No faction could take out so many at once. Even the beautiful MC on the stage was hesitating if she should interrupt the bidding of the two. She was afraid that the two of them were purposely raising the price to disrupt the auction. She did not believe that the two of them could take out so many saint-level weapons. The second elder, who was in charge of the VIP rooms, was dumbfounded. To be honest, he had no idea who the owner of VIP room number 1 was. He only knew that the owner was a blacksmith with sufficient wealth to purchase the right to use VIP room number 1. Who exactly is he? The second elder's body was trembling. Could he be a blacksmith who can refine saint-level weapons? The news of what happened here quickly reached the first elder's ears. The latter took a long time to calm down and immediately reported it to the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master. What? After the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master heard it, his jaw almost dropped. "You're saying that the price of the Prime's finger bone that we can't decipher has reached 1 million basic saint-level weapons?" The first elder nodded. "Most of the people have withdrawn from the bidding. Only the people in VIP room number 1 and VIP room number 9 are still competing. Do you know their identities?" The mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master asked. "The owner of VIP room number 9 was brought here by Deacon Bai. He should know. As for the owner of VIP room number 1, we only know that he is a powerful blacksmith. We don't know anything else," the first elder said. The mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master frowned. If he had to ask who he was most curious about in this auction, it would definitely be the owner of VIP room number 9. Chapter 3990. If the previous auctions were to be described as inconceivable, then the auction for the final item left everyone dumbfounded. They had never thought that there would be such a wealthy expert in the world. A supreme being's finger bone that could not be deciphered was priced at 1 million elementary sacred grade weapons. What did this mean? Even the Taishen sect and the Great Snow Mountain could not afford to take out so many sacred grade weapons. Now, The battle between VIP Room 1 and VIP Room 9 sent chills down everyone's spines. Not only were the people guessing the identity of the two VIP rooms, even the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master and the Great Elder were deep in thought. The mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master could accept the crazy increase in price in VIP Room number 1. After all, he was a powerful blacksmith and might be able to forge a saint-grade weapon. However, VIP Room number 9 was different. The owner of this room was brought here by Deacon Bai. Back then, Deacon Bai explained to them that this person was rich enough to occupy a VIP room. However, no one knew the exact identity of this person. Now, he had raised the price of the Supreme Being's fingerbone to 1 million. Even the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master doubted if he could afford it. The entire auction house was dead silent. Even the sound of breathing could be heard clearly. Everyone stared at VIP Room number 9 with their mouths agape. Thief God, who was in VIP Room number 2, exclaimed out. 1 million. That was no small sum. The Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder in VIP Room 5 had also fallen silent. The Great Snow Mountain had lost the right to bid for the last item. Everyone was waiting to see if the owner of VIP Room 1 would continue to bid. You bid 1 million for a Supreme Being's fingerbone that could not be deciphered? Finally, after a long silence, the voice of the white-haired old man from VIP Room number 1 could be heard. Behind him, the red-haired man also showed extreme dissatisfaction. My master is determined to get this Supreme Being's fingerbone. I hope you can understand the situation. 1 million elementary sacred grade weapons is not something an ordinary person can take out. I suspect that you are purposely disrupting the order of the auction house. ABC, Yuan latest update, the red-haired man's words caused a commotion. The beautiful MC on the stage waved her hand, indicating for everyone to be quiet. After that, a professional smile appeared on her fair face as she comforted everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why my profound Dragon Pavilion's auction house has been open until now is because of our reputation. For so many years, no one has ever dared to cause trouble in our auction house. I believe that VIP number 9 is not trying to cause trouble, but really wants to obtain the supreme fingerbone. Her words undoubtedly made the crowd even more curious as to who the owner of VIP Room number 9 was. In VIP Room number 9, Fang Chen sat calmly without any expression on his face. 1 million elementary saint-tier weapons might be a huge number to others, but to him, it was nothing. He still had a lot of them. He just wanted the number 1 VIP room. If he continued to raise the price, he would not hesitate to raise the price. After all, these saint-level weapons were useless to him. He might as well exchange them for something useful. Whether I'm trying to cause trouble or not is not up to you. If you want to obtain the fingerbone, then raise the price directly, Fang Chen replied firmly. The meaning behind his words was that it was useless to threaten him. Don't even think about using crooked methods. If you want the fingerbone, then raise the price fair and square. Too hateful. In VIP Room number 1, the red-haired man could no longer tolerate Fang Chen's attitude. Who is this guy? Shizuan, should we reveal our identities? The white-haired old man shook his head. The other party had come prepared, and his wealth was so great that even he felt it was inconceivable. After revealing his identity, not only did he not make the other party give up, he even ended up being criticized. 2 million. VIP Room number 1 raised the price once again. This time, he raised it by 1 million in one go. 5 million. What was even more inconceivable was that just as the voice from VIP Room number 1 fell, an even more shocking voice came from VIP Room number 9. What? The entire auction house went crazy, raising the price to 5 million in one go, and there was no hesitation in the voice. Wasn't this too exaggerated? Heavens! What have I experienced? Who exactly is the owner of VIP Room number 9? 5 million? Is he serious? The crowd could no longer suppress the doubts in their hearts and spoke out one after another. The scholar, the first disciple of the Taishan sect, was already dumbfounded. He had even forgotten the purpose of his trip, which was to kill Fang Chen and take back the killing token. On the other side, Wang Teng of the Fire Tribe's Wang family was also dumbfounded. One person's wealth was far greater than the Great Snow Mountain. What kind of concept was this? The other party had only raised the price by 1 million and raised it to 2 million. Yet, Wang Ting had directly raised it to 5 million. Was he trying to show off his wealth? Or was he trying to make the owner of VIP room number 1 retreat? For a moment, everyone's gaze fell on VIP room number 1, waiting for the white-haired old man's counterattack. The second elder was dumbfounded. The news quickly reached the ears of the first elder and the profound dragon pavilion master. The two of them were stunned for a long time, as if they had been struck by lightning. "Quickly call administrator Bai over," the profound dragon pavilion master said in a deep voice. Not long after, Deacon Bai arrived. He had also heard about the situation in the auction house, and his heart was in turmoil. That day, he had only asked for a VIP room because he saw that Fang Chen was so wealthy that he could casually take out a saint-grade weapon. Who would have thought that Wang Ting actually had such wealth? Administrator Bai, who exactly is the person in VIP room number 9? The first elder asked. The petrified little mouse, the blood-stained broken sword, and now, the supreme fingerbone, which was the finale item, was a must-have. Now, he had raised the price to an unimaginable price of 5 million basic sage-grade weapons. It was simply crazy. "I don't know either," Administrator Bai told the profound Dragon Pavilion Master everything that had happened after he first met Fang Chen. After the profound Dragon Pavilion Master heard this, he fell into deep thought. In VIP room number 9 in the auction house, Fang Chen glanced at the sage-grade weapons piled up like a mountain in his interspatial ring. He grinned and said, "Fortunately, I collected all the broken sage-grade weapons from the various remnants." Back then, Princess Huang had advised him not to collect those broken sage-grade weapons. They would just be a burden to him. However, he still collected them. He did not expect that they would come in handy here. After bidding for several interesting items, Fang Chen was very happy. "Is the owner of VIP room number 1 someone from the demon-devouring clan's sacred land?" Fang Chen guessed. He had offended many people in this auction. With too much wealth, people would be jealous and greedy. Hence, after the auction ended, he had to obtain the items as quickly as possible and then leave in disguise. End of chapter. Chapter 3991. He was crazy. He was simply insane. The other party had only bid 2 million, but Fang Chen had gone crazy and directly increased the price to 5 million. This was simply an astronomical figure. Even the white-haired elder in VIP room number 1's face gradually darkened and he could not say a word. Only his disciple, the red-haired man, could clearly see that his master's old palm was trembling. This meant that the price of 5 million was a huge blow to his master. Is he crazy? After a long while, the white-haired elder in VIP room number 1 said this. It was not just him. At this moment, everyone thought that Fang Chen had gone crazy to bid in such a way. It was simply too arrogant. Did he not take a basic sacred class weapon seriously? Or did he think that he was the demon-devouring clan's patriarch and had endless cultivation resources? "Master, what should we do?" the red-haired man asked in a deep voice. He originally thought that with his master's help, the supreme fingerbone would definitely be obtained. However, such a huge setback had now occurred, which made the red-haired man very angry. At the same time, he was also guessing who the owner of VIP room number 9 was to dare to challenge them. "I don't believe that he can take out 5 million basic sacred class weapons." The red-haired man shook his head, his face filled with killing intent. The white-haired elder looked through the window and saw the scene in the auction house. He sighed slightly and finally gave up the bid. The other party had directly bid 5 million, which meant that his wealth was beyond their imagination. Even if he continued to raise the price, the other party would not hesitate to raise the price. In short, as long as the other party did not take the initiative to give up, it was impossible for him to obtain it. Thinking of this, the white-haired elder felt a wave of desolation. Could it be that he was old? The dignified top blacksmith of the origin world, the only almighty blacksmith who could forge a peerless sacred class weapon, had actually lost to someone else in a competition of sacred class weapons. Sigh. When the white-haired old man gave up, everyone's hearts shook. The sigh that came from the number 1 VIP room reverberated in their ears. This sigh contained helplessness and desolation. Has VIP room number 1 given up? Everyone was shocked. Just a moment ago, the 2 VIP rooms were still locked in a fierce fight. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, the first VIP room had already given up. However, after calming down, everyone was able to understand the situation. After all, the price had already reached the level of 5 million elementary Saint-grade weapons. Most people would not be able to accept it. Therefore, it was expected that VIP room number 1 would give up. Of course, the most unexpected one was VIP room 9. When the beautiful MC on the stage dropped the hammer and announced that the last item was successfully sold, everyone's heart trembled. After the auction ended, the second elder had a complicated feeling. His sole consciousness had a trace of fear. He vaguely remembered that he was dissatisfied that the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master had given room number 9 to Deacon Bai. His heart was filled with resentment, and he had even attacked the owner of room number 9. Now that he thought about it, he was terrified. An expert who could take out 5 million elementary Saint-grade weapons in one go was the most dazzling existence in the entire Origin world. If he resented him and took revenge, then he would be finished. I hope that he will be magnanimous and not bicker with me, the second elder prayed in his heart. The first elder and the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master could not wait to meet the owner of VIP room number 9. They wanted to know who he was. After the auction ended, they immediately sent someone to secretly invite Fang Chen to the top floor. The mysterious Dragon Pavilion kept the identity of everyone who participated in the auction a high secret, especially Fang Chen, who had won so many treasures in one go. In fact, when he was in VIP room number 9, Fang Chen had already used a disguise technique to change his appearance. He had also put on a bamboo hat to prevent people from peeping. Alright, this auction ends here. Thank you for your kind participation, the beautiful MC on the stage said with a smile. In this auction, the price of a single item had set a new record. Naturally, she was very happy to receive a lot of commission. The experts in the VIP rooms walked out in a line. They had all walked through the VIP passageway. The others could not see them at all, nor could they guess their identities. As for the people in the auction hall, they also left reluctantly. The eyebrows of the scholar in the corner suddenly twitched. His messaging jade pendant had sent him a message. Has he arrived? Since Gong Tianhu had already arrived, he immediately left the auction hall and met up with Gong Tianhu, preparing to look for Fang Chen. As for Wang Teng of the Fire Tribe's Wang clan, he silently entered the back of the auction hall. He closed his eyes and used the life flame in his body to sense the flame mark that covered VIP room number 9. Before Holy Thief left, he glanced in the direction of VIP room number 9. He smiled coldly and said, I have never failed to obtain anything that I want. At the top floor of the mysterious Dragon Pavilion, the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master sat at the very front. Below him stood the 3 elders and attendant Bai. Pavilion Master, this young master is the owner of VIP room number 9. Attendant Bai introduced Fang Chen to the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master after bringing him to the top floor. Brother, may I ask for your name? The mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master asked with cupped fists. He wanted to check Fang Chen's identity, but he discovered that the conical bamboo hat covered everything. His spiritual sense could not get close. Fang Chen remained silent. He did not want to answer this question. He was only here to take back what belonged to him. Haha, my apologies. I was rude. The mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master smiled awkwardly. He quickly waved his hand and took out the items that Fang Chen bought. These are your items. One hand for the money, and the other for the goods. Fang Chen did not hesitate. He directly took out enough sage-grade weapons from his spatial ring. I do not have many basic sage-grade weapons. However, I can use other sage-grade weapons of the same value to exchange for them, Fang Chen said. When the crowd, including the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master, saw the mountain of sage-grade weapons, they were completely stunned. What a strong aura, the mysterious Dragon Pavilion Master exclaimed. Although most of the sage-grade weapons were damaged, their grades were very high. There were medium-grade weapons, high-grade weapons, and even superior-grade weapons. Can I? Fang Chen asked. Yes, of course, the mysterious dragon pavilion master hastily replied. At this moment, he looked at Fang Chen with an unusually respectful gaze. Even if it was a broken medium-grade or high-grade sage-grade weapon, its value was still much higher than a basic sage-grade weapon. Compared to the millions of basic sage-grade weapons that Fang Chen had spent before, this pile of broken sage-grade weapons far exceeded their value. The mysterious dragon pavilion master and the others were extremely excited. The mysterious dragon pavilion master personally calculated the value of these broken sage-grade weapons. The more he calculated, the more excited he became. This was because some of these broken weapons actually contained the incomplete inheritance of experts. Simply put, these weapons were invaluable. He really could not imagine who this man wearing a conical bamboo hat in front of him was. He could actually take out so many sage-grade weapons at once. Chapter 3992. Fang Chen was wearing a bamboo hat that was encrypted. With the mysterious dragon pavilion master's strength, it was impossible for them to detect his aura, let alone see through him. Therefore, he wasn't worried about being betrayed when he made the deal with the mysterious dragon pavilion master. After all, he was an expert who was about to step into 11th Order Saint realm. In the entire Origin world, there were only a handful of people who could match him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have offended the heavenly demonic Rat King and the owner of Private Room Number 1 in such a high-profile manner. Soon, the deal was over. The mysterious dragon pavilion master happily put away the broken saint-grade weapons, then carefully handed over the heavenly source stone, blood-stained broken sword, little mouse fossil, and supreme finger bone to Fang Chen. At this time, the mysterious dragon pavilion master was even more curious and wary of Fang Chen. Being able to take out so many saint-grade weapons in one go, and all of them were broken pieces that had been used by ancient experts. There were even remnants of their inheritances. This person was definitely not simple. It was easy to imagine that these saint-level weapons had been obtained through battles of life and death. With the mysterious dragon pavilion's strength, they naturally wouldn't dare to have any devious ideas. Mister, from today onwards, you are our mysterious dragon pavilion's VIP. If you need anything in the future, as long as we have it, feel free to come and take it. The mysterious dragon pavilion master took this opportunity to befriend Fang Chen. Got it. Fang Chen nodded, then turned around and took out a broken saint-grade weapon, throwing it to Deacon Bai. The latter was dumbfounded, not knowing what this meant. This time, many thanks to you. The mysterious dragon pavilion master, Grand Elder, and the others widened their eyes, sighing. Just by providing a VIP room, Huang Xiaolong casually gave away a priceless saint-grade weapon. This person was really generous. Mister, you don't have to do this. How could Deacon Bai dare to accept it? This person was definitely stronger than he had imagined. Since it's for you, just take it. Fang Chen said nonchalantly. He didn't like to owe favors, not to mention, a mere saint-grade weapon was nothing to him. Since Mister wants you to take it, then take it. The mysterious dragon pavilion master said with a smile. At the same time, he invited Fang Chen to temporarily stay in the mysterious dragon pavilion. Treasures arouse the envy of others. Fang Chen had just obtained so many precious things. There must be a lot of people who had their eyes on him. Leaving the profound dragon pavilion now was an extremely unwise choice. It's fine. Fang Chen declined politely. Unless it was a half-step chaotic supremacy or a top expert from the Great Snow Mountain, he had nothing to fear. Furthermore, he was just passing by Shenlong City. His purpose here was to investigate the Taishen sect. Since he had bumped into the scholar, it was a good opportunity to capture him and interrogate him. As the profound dragon pavilion master and the others watched Fang Chen leave, they fell silent. Wang. The mystic dragon pavilion's pavilion master's communication jade pendant rang out. When Sang heard that, his expression instantly turned grave. He quickly replied, "The one who bid for that stone is a man wearing a conical bamboo hat. We cannot figure out his origins." It turned out that the person who had sent the message was the mysterious expert who had given him the heavenly source stone. At that time, that person had requested for the person who had bid for the stone to be brought to him. However, under such circumstances, how could the profound dragon pavilion master dare to touch Fang Chen? He could only report the truth. There was silence in the communication jade pendant. After a long while, the mysterious expert said, "Tell me his characteristics and everything you know. I will look for him personally." After leaving the top floor, Fang Chen left the profound dragon pavilion quietly. However, no matter how hard he tried to hide, he was still discovered. Countless pairs of eyes were watching him in the dark. The moment he left, the forces hidden in the dark began to move. Finally left. The celestial demonic rat king's eyes sparkled with excitement. Originally, he only wanted the little mouse fossil. He did not expect that guy to bid for so many things. Since that was the case, he might as well steal it. He, the celestial demonic rat king, had never failed to steal anything. This time was no exception. "Humph. You want to fight with me?" Apparently, the celestial demonic rat king had also discovered the spies of the other forces. At the same time, in a restaurant, the white-haired elder and his disciple, the red-haired man, were drinking tea. "Master, he is out," the red-haired man said in a low voice. The white-haired elder was not moved. He continued to drink tea. After a long while, he put down the teacup and said with a smile, "The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. What we need to do is to be the oriole who reaps the benefits. But, the celestial demonic rat king is also here. He is known as the thief saint. Once he steals that guy's things, it will be difficult for us to get them back." The red-haired man was a little worried. The white-haired elder waved his hand and said with a smile, "Don't worry. Everything is under my control. Let them fight first." The entire profound dragon city was filled with undercurrents. Not long after, darkness fell. The scholar, the chief disciple of the Taishan sect, had already met up with Hai Tianhu. "Brother, this is my helper." Hai Tianhu pointed at the people behind him and introduced them to the scholar. They were all good at arrays and talismans. If they joined forces, they would be extremely powerful. It would be difficult to find a match for them in the saint realm. "With the two of us, that guy will definitely die if he appears," Hai Tianhu said with a smile. However, the scholar's face was grave. "I have not found that guy's whereabouts yet, but I have something more important to do now." Then, the scholar told Hai Tianhu his thoughts. When the latter heard it, his eyes widened. "How is that possible?" Hai Tianhu cried out. He did not believe that there was such a person in profound Dragon City who did not even care about the celestial demonic rat king. In the end, he and the owner of VIP room number 1 kept raising the price of the supreme fingerbone to 5 million elementary sacred weapons. Wasn't that too much? "Brother, are you sure that this person is not an expert from the devouring demon clan's sacred land?" Hai Tianhu was a little afraid. After all, the origin world was created by the devouring demon clan. At first, there were only the devouring demon clan here. However, after the world changed and some experts who had sneaked in from the chaos battlefield gradually gave birth to their descendants, other smaller clans appeared. In the origin world, going against the devouring demon clan was tantamount to suicide. "Don't worry. I have a plan." The scholar's eyes flashed with madness. "Okay, I'll listen to you." Hai Tianhu threw caution to the wind. His life was given to him by the scholar. He was willing to do anything the scholar asked of him. At the same time, under the cover of the night, Fang Chen had already found out where the scholar was staying and was about to head over. At a hidden street corner, he was stopped by a group of men in black. End of chapter. Chapter 3993. Darkness shrouded the land. Mystic Dragon City gradually quieted down as everyone entered a state of sleep. Fang Chen, who had just walked to a hidden corner of the street, was about to secretly look for the scholar when he was stopped by a group of men in black. Their auras were extremely ferocious. "What? You want to leave? Have you asked for our permission?" The leader of the men in black held a 3-foot-long sword in his hand. Red light flowed around the sword, and at the tip of the sword, there was a Genesis Chi radiance like the moon. He pointed it at Fang Chen. "Who are you?" Fang Chen asked without batting an eyelid. Does it matter who we are? The leader of the black-clothed men sneered, take out everything you have on you, and we'll leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, before he could finish his sentence, Fang Chen made the first move. Buzz. The surrounding space was instantly enveloped by a terrifying domain. When the men in black reacted, they had already fallen into a quagmire. Their movements were slow, and they were unable to track Fang Chen's movements. What domain is this? The leader of the black-clothed men sucked in a breath of cold air. The order they received was only to stop Fang Chen. The real trump card was the person who would arrive soon. But now, they were in danger. Poochie. Using his finger as a sword, every time he pointed, a man in black would fall to the ground. No one could block the sword light. Not good. The leader of the black-robed men felt death approaching. He shouted, attack the domain together. As long as they broke the domain, the battle here would attract many experts. This guy had offended many people at the Mystic Dragon auction. There would definitely be people who coveted his belongings. Boom, boom, boom. However, Fang Chen struck first and gained the upper hand. He simply did not give them any chance at all. The leader of the black-clothed men looked on helplessly as his companions fell into pools of blood one after another. Yet, he was powerless to do anything. No. When he met Fang Chen's eyes, he could feel the latter's fear. He shouted with all his might, but it was useless. The finger light streaked across the sky, bringing with it the aura of death. He struggled with all his might, but he could not break free from the domain. No, I don't want to die. He howled in rage, hoping for a miracle to happen. However, that terrifying finger light actually stopped when it reached his throat. The black-clothed man thought that he would die for sure, but all of a sudden, everything around him calmed down. He looked down and discovered that the sword light was no longer advancing. He had temporarily saved his life. Who sent you? Fang Chen asked. I can't betray master. However, before he could finish speaking, he let out a miserable cry. One of his ears was directly cut off, and blood sprayed out. I don't want to ask a second time, Fang Chen continued. Just as the black-clothed man was hesitating, his other ear was also cut off. He was in so much pain that his whole body trembled, and he almost fainted. I'll count to 3. Fang Chen began counting. Wait a minute. Finally, the man in black felt fear and began to compromise. If I tell you, will you let me go? You have no right to negotiate with me, Fang Chen said impatiently. But ooh-ah. Another miserable cry came from the black-clothed man. He felt that his neck was bleeding. The sword light had already cut into it. If Lin Fan used a little more force, his head would fall to the ground. His body trembled, and he was extremely frightened. The Reverend King sent me, the black-clothed man screamed. He was afraid that Fang Chen did not know, so he added that the Reverend King was the owner of VIP room number 3. Poochie. The sword light cut through the black-clothed man's neck. His head fell to the ground, lifeless. You want to kill me, and you want me to let you go? Fang Chen said coldly. At the same time, he remembered the Reverend King in his heart. Before coming to Mystic Dragon City, Fang Chen had learned about the Great Snow Mountain. It had many subordinate forces, and one of them was the Dragoncliff Empire. The Reverend King was known as the strongest person in the Dragoncliff Empire. However, he was too conceited. He thought that he could kill Fang Chen by sending his subordinates. Who would have thought that they would all be killed, and his identity was exposed? When he made this decision, the outcome was already decided. However, Fang Chen had more important things to do now, and did not have time to care about him. Hiss. When the domain dissipated, Fang Chen silently disappeared into the darkness. Only the black-clothed corpse on the ground indicated that a battle had taken place in this hidden street corner. Not long after, the Reverend King rushed over. When he saw the corpse on the ground, his face turned pale. How is this possible? The Reverend King said in a low voice. Is this guy so strong? After the auction, he went to do something more important. When he sensed the black-clothed man's death, he rushed over as fast as he could. However, he was still too late. I want to see how long he can run. the reverend king said coldly. At the same time, he sent a message to the Dragoncliff Empire, ordering them to send a large army to seal off the nearby territory. In an independent courtyard behind a restaurant, the scholar was secretly discussing with Gong Tianhu about how to find Fang Chen. "All right, that's it. I'll go back first. We'll start our operation tomorrow," the scholar said. Soon after, he returned to his study. Then, he took out his communication jade pendant and reported the situation at the auction to the Taishan Hierophant. The Taishan Hierophant immediately ordered the scholar not to act rashly. After all, the fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain, the heavenly demon Rat King, and other experts were all watching. With the scholar's strength, it was impossible for him to deal with them. Of course, the Taishan Hierophant also asked the scholar to keep a close eye on the situation and find an opportunity to act. The scholar was very happy to receive the support of the Taishan Hierophant. This could be considered as making up for his mistakes. If he succeeded, he would be able to inherit the mantle of the Taishan Hierophant and become the next Hierophant candidate. However, just as he was feeling happy, the study was sealed off. He jumped up and saw Fang Chen's figure appear out of thin air. "It's you." The scholar opened his eyes wide and stared at Fang Chen. "You still dare to appear?" He had searched high and low for him, only to find him by chance. He did not expect him to come knocking on his door. Fang Chen did not say anything. He took out the killing order of the Great Snow Mountain and asked, "What is this?" Seeing the killing order, the scholar was overjoyed. He said, "Give me this token. Otherwise, you will die." "Why did you use the killing order of the Great Snow Mountain to exchange for Gong Tianhu?" Fang Chen asked. This was what he was puzzled about. Why was the scholar so sure that he would agree to the exchange? Why was he not afraid that he would recognize the killing order and not dare to exchange? He had to investigate all these mysteries. The scholar cursed in his heart. If he had not recklessly used the killing order to exchange for Gong Tianhu, he would not have been punished by the Taishan Hierophant. He would not have dared to snatch the killing order back before the experts of the Great Snow Mountain arrived. I want to talk about the primordial swordmaster with more like-minded people. Talk about life, find friends. Chapter 3994. In fact, as for Fang Chen's true future, the scholar had no idea at all. He only knew that when the Taishan Hierophant had given him the killing order, he had warned him that the killing order was very important and should not be used carelessly. Even though outsiders had heard of the kill order, they had never seen it before, so it was difficult for them to recognize it. The Taishan Hierophant had once said that, strictly speaking, the killing command was also a saint-level weapon. Furthermore, it contained the power of the 5 great origins. For cultivators of the Saint Plane, it was very attractive. When faced with a life-and-death crisis, they could take it out in exchange for a chance of survival. At the same time, it would immediately activate the mission of the killing command, allowing the emissaries of the Great Snow Mountain to rescue and kill the enemy. Of course, this was only the way to use the kill order that the Taishan Hierophant had told the scholar. However, the scholar used it in exchange for Hai Tianho's life and succeeded. However, what truly attracted Fang Chen was not the 5 great origins contained within the kill token, but the trace of chaotic realm aura contained within it, which was very difficult to detect. This was also the reason why Fang Chen had come all the way to the Great Snow Mountain territory to look for the scholar. The two of them had completely different thoughts. As for Fang Chen's question, perhaps only the experts of the Great Snow Mountain who made the kill order would know. "I am the first disciple of the Taishan Hierophant, the scholar. Since you know my identity, you should obediently hand over the kill order to me. Otherwise, your life will be in danger." After a short moment of shock, the scholar regained his composure. His dark eyes stared viciously at Fang Chen, as if he wanted to tear him to pieces. He had already secretly taken out his communication jade pendant and was ready to inform Hai Tianhu to bring his companions to encircle Fang Chen. Poochie. Fang Chen flicked his finger, and a sharp beam of light shot out. The scholar let out a miserable shriek, and a clattering sound could be heard as his jade pendant fell to the ground. One of his hands had been chopped off, and blood sprayed onto the ground as he twitched in pain. You're courting death. In a moment of desperation, the scholar bellowed and launched an attack. However, Fang Chen didn't give him any chance. He directly suppressed him with an unstoppable force and chopped off his other hand. Having lost both his hands, the scholar's fighting strength was greatly reduced. His face was pale and he was extremely weak. His heart was filled with fear. Looking at Fang Chen, he felt that he wouldn't be able to walk out of the study alive. He wanted to shout, but it was of no use. Fang Chen had already sealed the study. With the strength of Gong Tianhu and the others, it was impossible for them to detect anything. In other words, no one would come to save the scholar. What do you want? At this moment, the scholar's heart was filled with fear. At the same time, he was also hoping that the emissary of the Great Snow Mountain would hurry over. That way, he would still have a chance to live. As for the revocation of the kill order, he did not even dare to think about it. Between his life and the kill order, of course he would choose his life. If he died, everything would be for naught. Only by staying alive would he have the chance to step onto the peak of martial arts. Answer my question, Fang Chen said coldly as he took out the kill order from his bosom. He wanted to know who had created the kill order and what was the purpose of creating it. Why did it contain the aura of the chaotic realm? What role did the Great Snow Mountain play in all of this? All of these mysteries needed to be solved. This was very important to Fang Chen. I've already made it very clear. The scholar was somewhat speechless. Everyone knew the use of the kill order. He had already explained it very clearly, but he did not understand why the enemy was so aggressive towards him. What do you want? Fang Chen frowned. Clearly, the scholar's answer did not satisfy him. This was because what attracted him was not the 5 great origin forces at all. Looking at the scholar's pained expression, it did not seem like he was lying. Then, the scholar probably could not answer his question. Even the Taishan Hierophant could not answer it. Could it be that he had to look for the top cultivators of the Great Snow Mountain? Since you've already given out the kill order, why did you take it back just now? Fang Chen shook his head. He knew that the scholar could not answer this question, so he did not pester him any further and moved on to the next question. Under the torture and Fang Chen's threat, the scholar spilled everything. You're saying that the Taishan Hierophant asked you to take back the kill order? Fang Chen asked. That's right. Because of this, I was punished by the Hierophant. If I do not take back the kill order before the emissary from the Great Snow Mountain kills you, I will be expelled from the sect, the scholar said hoarsely. If he had known this would happen, he would not have used the kill order in exchange for Hai Tianho's life. Now, he was in a situation where he had a slim chance of survival. Is it a waste to use the kill order on me? Fang Chen pursed his lips. He did not expect that the Taishan Hierophant would look down on him. No wonder he asked the scholar to take back the kill order. That was right. The kill order was an important thing. It could save one's life at a critical moment. Naturally, it had to be used carefully. After all, there was only one in the entire Taishan sect. Rare things were precious. The Taishan Hierophant and the others clearly did not think that the scholar's use of the kill order in exchange for Hai Tianho's life was worth it. I've told you everything I know. Shouldn't you let me go? Facing Fang Chen, the scholar was completely terrified. At the beginning, he had wanted to fight against Fang Chen. However, he now realized how powerful the enemy before him was. With a wave of his hand, he could make him lose his ability to fight. Thinking about it carefully, even the Taishan Hierophant might not be able to do this. Fang Chen did not speak. He looked directly at the scholar. The latter did not dare to look him in the eye. He was so scared that his scalp went numb. Finally, with a plop, he knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have attacked you or targeted you. Please let me go. At the same time, he also told Fang Chen that Hai Tianhu had called for a group of helpers. There were array masters and other masters. They were all there to deal with Fang Chen and take back the kill order. Now, he told him everything. He did not dare to hide anything. Is that so? Surprisingly, Fang Chen did not show any killing intent. Instead, he smiled meaningfully. After a while, The scholar returned to normal and came to Hai Tianhu's courtyard. "Brother, why are you here?" Hai Tianhu asked in surprise when he saw the scholar. Didn't the former go to report to the Taishan sect? Why did he come to find him in the middle of the night? Could it be that something unexpected had happened? Or had he already found the thief? "Hai Tianhu," the scholar said in a deep voice. The scholar said in a deep voice, "Let's put aside the matter of retrieving the kill token and killing that fellow for now. There are more important matters that require your help." "What is it?" The scholar whispered in Hai Tianhu's ear and explained in detail. Hai Tianhu was shocked. This, Hai Tianhu was about to ask when the scholar stopped him. "Be careful. The walls have ears." Chapter 3995. After leaving the scholar's courtyard, Fang Chen silently blended into the darkness. Although there were countless pairs of eyes watching his every move in the dark, he was not worried at all. Instead, he was planning something even bigger. Buzz. As soon as Fang Chen left, a strong cultivator from the Great Snow Mountain arrived at the scholar's courtyard. He was covered in ice and snow, and an extremely cold aura instantly swept through the entire courtyard. The scholar, Gong Tianhu, and the others could not help but shiver, but they quickly calmed down. "Greetings, fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain." The scholar cupped his fists. After all, the Great Snow Mountain was a subordinate force of the Great Snow Mountain, and they had a master-servant relationship. When he saw the fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain, he naturally had to be respectful. However, he was very curious. Why did the fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain come right after Fang Chen left? Could it be related to him? He braced himself and looked at the fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain. He carefully asked, "May I know why the fifth elder has come so late at night?" The fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain's pitch-black eyes were filled with a cold aura. He stared at the scholar for a long time, then said, "What are you doing in Mystic Dragon City?" "I'm here to participate in the Mystic Dragon auction on the orders of the sect leader," the scholar replied. Behind him, Gong Tianhu and the others didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They were afraid of angering the Great Snowy Mountain's fifth elder and causing their plan to fail. The fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain snorted coldly, then asked, after the auction ended, "I have been tracking the owner of VIP Room 9. Not long ago, I sensed that he left your place. Do you know him?" As soon as the fifth elder said this, a strange expression appeared on the scholar's face. "What? That person left my place?" The scholar shrugged and said with an innocent face, "Fifth elder, are you suspecting that I know him?" The fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain was silent. He needed the scholar to give him an explanation. "Fifth elder, think about it. The owner of VIP Room 9 is so rich that he is comparable to the Great Snow Mountain. How could I know such a top expert?" The scholar smiled bitterly. The fifth elder narrowed his eyes and stared at the scholar. He could tell that the scholar wasn't lying. He then spread out his divine sense and scanned the entire courtyard. After a short while, he found nothing. Maybe he's just passing by, or maybe he's trying to distract the experts who are watching him from the shadows. This was the only explanation that could convince him. Mystic Dragon City has not been peaceful recently. You better leave quickly," the fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain reminded him. After all, the Taishan sect was a subsidiary force of the Great Snow Mountain. At this critical moment, he still had to remind them. If his guess was correct, then it was very likely that the owner of VIP Room number 9 had deliberately snuck into the scholar's courtyard without anyone noticing. Then, he quietly left to confuse the world and drag the hatred onto the Taishan sect. Using the Supreme Mystery sect as a breakthrough point, they would attack the Great Snow Mountain. Could it be an enemy of the Great Snow Mountain? The fifth elder frowned and pondered. He couldn't think of any enemy force that could take out so many saint-level weapons at once. "Thank you for your reminder, fifth elder. I'm going to leave Mystic Dragon City early tomorrow morning and return to the Taishan sect." The scholar thanked him. In the dark night, there were countless pairs of eyes staring at the scholar's courtyard. On one hand, they were staring at Fang Chen. On the other hand, they were staring at the scholar. Early the next morning, the scholar brought Gong Tianhu and the others and left Mystic Dragon City in a low-key manner. Even so, they were still discovered by many hidden forces. They immediately reported the news to their superiors. Soon, many experts began to guess whether or not the scholar and the others had returned with the treasures. Follow them. At the critical moment, take action. It was better to be safe than sorry. Especially the celestial demon Rat King. He even suspected that the owner of VIP room number 9 had given all the treasures from the auction to the scholar and asked him to bring them back. Then, he purposely attracted everyone's attention to ensure the scholar's safety. Humph! The celestial demon Rat King snorted. He, the thief sage, had never failed to get what he wanted. At the same time, the reverent king also followed. Pull one hair and the whole situation will be affected. After the scholar left, everyone's attention was focused on him. They secretly followed him and competed with him. The real protagonist, Fang Chen, was casually using his disguise technique. He changed his appearance and walked on the streets of Mystic Dragon City. He believed that with his strength, no one would be able to recognize him after he changed his appearance. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for wanting to kill me. Fang Chen mumbled to himself. Although the Taishen sect was innocent in this matter, they had no choice. The scholar wanted to kill him, so they could only use him as a sacrifice. At this moment, in a restaurant, the red-haired man was anxious. Master, the first disciple of the Taishen sect left early in the morning. Those experts who are secretly watching him have all followed him. They all suspect that the person has secretly given the treasures from the auction to the scholar. Should we? The white-haired old man did not care about the red-haired man's anxiety. Instead, he smiled. He turned to look at his disciple and said with a smile, "You've been with me for so many years. Why are you still so impatient? I've told you more than once that no matter what happens, don't be anxious. You have to be calm and deal with it calmly." A battle between experts was often decided by a single thought. Therefore, one must have a calm mind to control the situation. This disciple of his was excellent in other aspects. Only his state of mind had not been honed. He did things carelessly and easily fell into the trap of others. But the red-haired man wanted to explain but was stopped by his master. The white-haired old man waved his hand and interrupted his disciple. Then, his eyes fell on an unfamiliar man on the street. "What do you think of this person?" The red-haired man was stunned by such a puzzling question. He looked at the unfamiliar man seriously and replied, "Master, this person should be hiding his strength. I estimate that his true strength is at least in the middle level of the saint realm. He might even be in the high level of the saint realm. But," the red-haired man continued, "his primordial spirit is very weak. He's at the bottom of the saint realm." To the two of them, such a person was simply a piece of trash. He did not understand why his master would suddenly ask such a question. "Look carefully and think carefully." The white-haired old man shook his head and said with a smile. However, there was a flash of surprise in his calm eyes. Of course, the red-haired man did not notice. Chapter 3996. A faint smile appeared on the white-haired old man's emotionless face. The red-haired man was a little puzzled by his master's actions. He had already sensed clearly that the strange man his master was talking about had a very weak soul and was considered to be at the bottom of the saint realm. There were many people like that and there was nothing special about them. "Master, please enlighten me." His master had asked him to take a closer look, but he could not see anything. In the end, he had no choice but to ask his master to enlighten him. The white-haired old man shook his head gently and sighed. I've always told you that the cultivation of the martial way focuses on cultivating one's body and mind. You just don't listen and are always so impatient. Do you know why you haven't had a single inch of strength in refining weapons all these years?" The red-haired man shook his head in puzzlement. "Your heart isn't calm enough. Naturally, you can't concentrate on refining weapons," said the white-haired old man. "Forget it. Let's not talk about this for now." Returning to the main topic, the white-haired old man's dark eyes fell on the strange man on the street. The latter's expression was indifferent as he stood with his hands behind his back and strolled forward. He has guts and is very smart. To be able to take out so much wealth, which force in the origin world nurtured him? The white-haired old man muttered to himself. At this moment, Fang Chen had already sensed the white-haired old man's spying. He quietly walked towards a secluded street corner where there were fewer people. "Come, let's go take a look." The white-haired old man got up and led his disciple to follow Fang Chen. Soon, the two of them came to a secluded street corner. There was no one here and there was nothing there. His in front. Just as the red-haired man looked around and was about to look for Fang Chen, he suddenly discovered a figure standing in front of him. It was the strange man on the street just now. He discovered us. Obviously, this person was waiting for them. In other words, their spying had been discovered. The red-haired man's expression changed when he thought of this. He had just thought that this person's soul was very weak and was at the bottom of the saint realm. However, this person had sensed his and his master's spying. It was a little unbelievable. Recalling what his master had said to him before, the red-haired man guessed that this person was very likely hiding his strength. "If my guess is correct, this shouldn't be your true appearance, right?" The white-haired old man said with a chuckle. Fang Chen turned around and looked at the two of them. He shook his head and said, "You actually discovered me." He was also astonished. His disguising technique was unparalleled in the world, and he had even changed his aura. He had no idea how the white-haired elder had managed to discover him. At the same time, he was secretly on guard. Would there be other experts who would discover him? It seemed that the plan of using the head disciple of the Taishan sect, the scholar, as well as Gong Tianhu and the others to lure the tiger away from the mountain was not perfect. There were still flaws. At the very least, the two people in front of him were not fooled. Instead, they were eyeing him after he changed his appearance. This old man has spent his entire life forging weapons. No weapon can hide from this old man. Although your aura and appearance have changed, the weapon on your body hasn't. The white-haired old man said. Hearing this, Fang Chen was slightly surprised, but he soon came to a realization. These two must be the people who were competing for the Supreme Phalanx with him in VIP room number 1, right? No wonder they could bid so crazily. It turned out that they were blacksmiths. Thinking about it, they must be top-notch in the blacksmithing world of the origin world. "Why are you stopping me?" Fang Chen asked. "Mph, what are you pretending for?" The red-haired man was furious. "Master was determined to get the Supreme Phalanx, but you snatched it away. Why do you think we're stopping you?" Ridiculous. In the auction house, bidding for anything depends on the price. I bid the highest price and got the Supreme Phalanx. How is it snatching it away from you? Fang Chen retorted. "Kid, do you know who my master is?" The red-haired man said coldly, emitting a terrifying aura. He sealed the surroundings, not giving Fang Chen a chance to escape. The white-haired old man waved his hand, stopping his disciple from speaking. He then looked at Fang Chen and said with a smile, "Little friend, I won't let you suffer a loss. As long as you give the Supreme Phalanx to me, I can help you forge a peerless sacred weapon. What do you think?" A peerless sacred weapon. Fang Chen's pupils shrank. His attainment in blacksmithing was also very high, but he couldn't forge a peerless sacred weapon. Wasn't the person in front of him too heaven-defying? He suddenly thought of a person. He had heard of him when he first came to the origin world. The only expert in the origin world who could forge a peerless sacred weapon was Master Kai Lian. "Master Kai Lian?" Fang Chen asked. "Since you know my master's name, you'd better hand over the Supreme Phalanx obediently. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite." The red-haired man was very angry. With his master's reputation, he would be respected wherever he went. But this guy in front of him openly looked down on them. He was simply courting death. He was confident that he could kill this person with a wave of his hand. Fang Chen furrowed his brows, feeling somewhat displeased. Anyone would have a temper after being repeatedly intimidated like this. Although a peerless sacred weapon is good, I don't like it. Fang Chen shook his head and rejected decisively. "Moreover, I don't like you." The red-haired man flew into a rage when he heard this. However, the white-haired old man remained calm. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Fang Chen as if he wanted to see through the latter. But soon, he was disappointed. The latter's body was like a bottomless abyss, constantly devouring the consciousness that approached his body. It was impossible to detect. The white-haired old man gritted his teeth and said, "What if I infuse the 5 great origin powers?" Infusing the 5 great origin powers into a peerless sacred weapon was very bold. Even he didn't have a high success rate. Many top forces in the origin world begged him to forge a weapon, but he rejected them all. For the supreme phalanx, he had paid enough sincerity. Fang Chen still shook his head. The supreme phalanx was more important to him. "I'm sorry." Fang Chen refused. At this time, the white-haired old man frowned and asked puzzledly, "You haven't reached that level yet. Even if you study the supreme phalanx, it's meaningless to you." However, what he didn't know was that the man standing in front of him had already broken through the limits and walked the complete cultivation system of the ancient era. He was only one step away from stepping into the 11th Order Saint realm. To Fang Chen, the supreme phalanx was of great significance. "You're courting death." The red-haired man couldn't bear it anymore and raised his hand to attack. However, Fang Chen laughed. It was a strange and mocking laugh. "You said that the supreme phalanx is useless to me because you think I'm too weak." Fang Chen said, "Have you ever thought that standing in front of you might be a gap that you can never cross?" End of chapter. Chapter 3997. Have you ever thought that standing in front of you is a chasm that you can never cross? The moment he said that, Fang Chen's body emitted a majestic aura that was terrifying to the extreme, instantly stunning the white-haired old man and the red-haired man. This was especially true for the red-haired man. He was extremely displeased with Fang Chen's attitude. He felt that Fang Chen was insulting his master. Thus, he attacked in anger. Due to the fact that he had gathered an enormous amount of power with the intention of attacking Fang Chen, he was instead knocked back. Crack! His body flew out. Seeing this, the white-haired old man waved his sleeve and a gentle force shrouded the red-haired man, saving him. But even so, the red-haired man spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. The sound of bones breaking could be heard from his body. His face was ferocious and he let out a painful cry. His internal organs were damaged and his bones were broken. In just a few seconds, he had lost the ability to fight. How could this be? The red-haired man stood up from the ground and glared at Fang Chen with a ferocious face. He wanted to attack again, but when he raised his hand, he was completely stunned. "No, impossible." He screamed crazily, unable to believe the fact in front of him. Even his master, the white-haired old man, could not maintain his previous indifference. His face was extremely gloomy. He stood up and directly felt his disciple's pulse. A few seconds later, a trace of shock flashed in the white-haired old man's eyes. He widened his eyes and stared at Fang Chen, as if he wanted to see through him. However, he was disappointed. The latter was like a bottomless pit, devouring any divine sense that came close. Have you ever thought that standing in front of you is a chasm that you can never cross? At this moment, Fang Chen's words from before echoed in the white-haired old man's mind once again. They sounded quite interesting. He smiled bitterly and helped his disciple up. He placed his hand on his disciple's back and continuously channeled energy into him. A moment later, the red-haired man came to his senses and his life was not in danger for the time being. "My name is Kai Lian. May I know your name, little brother?" Grandmaster Kai Lian cupped his fist and bowed to Fang Chen. Just the aura emitted from his body was enough to make his disciple lose the ability to fight. Even though he was experienced and knowledgeable, he had never seen such a method before. After countless years of cultivation, although Grandmaster Kai Lian was obsessed with refining weapons, he had made some achievements in martial arts cultivation. However, he had no confidence in facing Fang Chen. "Now, do you still want what I have?" Fang Chen didn't answer Crimson Viper's question. In fact, he was not afraid of the strong cultivators he had offended in the auction house. The reason why he had used the scholar, the chief disciple of the Taishen sect, to lure the tiger away from the mountain was to deceive people and not attract attention. After all, he came from the Chaos Realm and shouldered the mission of saving all living beings in the Chaos Realm. Before completing the mission, he could not afford to be targeted by the devouring demon tribe. Otherwise, the mission would most likely fail. Failure was not an option for this mission. Little friend, you must be joking. Grandmaster Kai Lian smiled and said, a hero deserves a treasure. Little friend, with your strength, you are definitely qualified to obtain the supreme finger bone. I was too reckless before. Whoosh. Grandmaster Kai Lian waved his hand and a palm-sized token came to Fang Chen's side. The latter took a look and saw the token spinning in front of him. Grandmaster Crimson Viper said, as long as you inject your energy into this token, it will be activated. This token is refined with my life's effort. Once activated, it will be able to withstand an all-out attack from an expert at the peak of the Saint Realm. Consider it my compensation. After speaking, he left with his disciple without waiting for Fang Chen to take the token. In the blink of an eye, Grandmaster Kai Lian disappeared from Mystery Dragon City. Whoosh! Fang Chen reached out and took the token. His eyes flickered as he looked at the place where Grandmaster Kai Lian disappeared. Soon after, Grandmaster Kai Lian brought his disciple to a mountain outside Mystery Dragon City. Master. The red-haired man did not understand why his master did not take action. Instead, he gave the token to the other party as compensation. He had been asking his master for more than 10 years, but to no avail. Mph Grandmaster Kai Lian harumphed. He was unhappy with his disciple. Next time, don't be so reckless. Grandmaster Kai Lian said, that person doesn't want to kill you. Otherwise, you would have died 10,000 times. In fact, Grandmaster Kai Lian did not say it out loud. If Fang Chen took action, he would not be able to live either. Although he had many life-saving methods, they were useless against Fang Chen. He knew that an expert of Fang Chen's level could destroy the world with a wave of his hand. Whoosh! At the thought of this, Master Crimson Viper felt a sense of lingering fear in his heart. At the same time, he glared at his disciple hatefully. Even though he had misjudged Lin Fan and wanted to capture him to take back the Supreme Being Fingerbone, there was no need for him to be so reckless. Master, I was wrong. The red-haired man lowered his head and admitted his mistake. Grandmaster Kai Lian stood on the mountain peak and looked in the direction of Mystery Dragon City. Luckily, Lin Fan was not aggressive and did not chase after him. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Outside Mystery Dragon City, in a huge mountain range, footsteps could be heard from time to time. Yi Tianhu looked around. Beside him, a formation master began to set up a formation, isolating them from their surroundings. The talisman master lit up the talismans that he had prepared beforehand, causing strands of a strange aura to permeate the formation. The helpers that Hailu Tianhu found were all on the move. The scholar, the head disciple of the Supreme Mystery Sect, was not idle either. He knew that the danger this time was unprecedented. If they failed, they might lose their lives. How is it? After a while, the scholar walked to Hailu Tianhu's side and asked anxiously. Hailu Tianhu nodded, it's ready. Good. Let them guard here. We'll go somewhere else. The scholar said. He then took Hailu Tianhu and left the formation quickly, disappearing into the mountain range. Where are we going? Hailu Tianhu was puzzled. However, at this moment, the deafening sound of a battle came from afar. It was accompanied by miserable screams. Not good. Our men have been ambushed. Hailu Tianhu's body trembled. He wanted to go back to help but was stopped by the scholar. Hailu Tianhu was puzzled. He turned to look at the scholar. The latter shook his head gently. A look of determination appeared on his face. If you go back, you'll die, the scholar said indifferently. Hailu Tianhu was shocked when he felt the indifference from the scholar. He thought of the scholar's strange behavior. He opened his eyes wide and stared at the scholar. You're sending them to their deaths. Chapter 3998. At this moment, Gong Tianhu suddenly understood. He looked at his good brother, the scholar, in confusion. Why would he do such a vicious thing? Why? Hailu Tianhu's voice was hoarse, as if he was roaring. His heart was filled with sorrow. He had used all of his connections and finally found some people who were willing to help him. But now, they had all been killed by this scholar. What was going on? Why? Seeing that the scholar was silent, Gong Tianhu continued to ask. His face was filled with pain. He could faintly hear the sounds of explosions behind him, as well as the miserable cries of his helpers. Those were the cries of despair of his helpers. It turned out that they had left in a hurry early in the morning to send them to their deaths. If they don't die, we will die. Finally, the scholar, who had been silent for a long time, spoke. His expression was indifferent, and there was no guilt in his heart. In the world of cultivation, the strong preyed on the weak. Every successful person had climbed up by stepping on white bones. Surviving was more important than anything else. Therefore, to the scholar, sacrificing his helpers and letting them drag out an ignoble existence was not a shameful thing. Gong Tianhu grabbed the scholar, his eyes filled with anger. If he did not owe the scholar his life, he would have attacked him long ago. I can understand how you feel, but you don't know how strong our enemy is. The scholar shook his head helplessly. I could have left you to fend for yourself, and I could have hidden myself, but I didn't. Hearing this, Gong Tianhu fell silent. He lowered his head, his face twitching. His heart was filled with pain and despair. Do you still remember the person who captured you? I used the killing order given by the Great Snow Mountain to barely save your life, the scholar said. Gong Tianhu nodded. Of course he remembered that person. Their goal this time was to kill that person and take back the killing order. He is very strong, much stronger than we imagined. When I faced him, I felt helpless. Even when I faced the Taishan Hierophant, I didn't feel this way. My intuition tells me that his strength is definitely above the Taishan Hierophant's, the scholar said. Hearing this, Gong Tianhu was stunned. Was that person really that strong? Then why didn't he just kill him back then? Last night, he secretly came to my study and imprisoned me. He wanted me to help him lure the enemy away from the mountain and lure out those who were secretly coveting his treasures. Then, he would be left alone. The scholar told Helmut Tianhu in detail what had happened next. This. Hailu Tianhu's expression was complicated. He hadn't expected the other party to have such a powerful background. Although I am the first disciple of the Taishan sect, those people will definitely not show mercy to me for the sake of the treasure. Therefore, the plan of luring the tiger away from the mountain may seem simple, but in reality, it will cost me my life. I don't want to die just like that, so I made them my scapegoat, said the scholar frankly. At this point, there was nothing left to hide. He told Helmut Tianhu everything. But Hailu Tianhu still couldn't let it go, but he didn't hate the scholar anymore. Let's go. Let's return to the Supreme Mystery Sect first, the scholar said in a low voice, his voice filled with fear. In the mountain range. The experts hiding in the dark finally couldn't hold it in any longer and began to make their moves. The first to make a move was naturally the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder. He ignored the defenses and charged straight into the matrix, slaughtering those people in a frenzy. Poochie. One helper after another died at the hands of the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder. Before they died, they were filled with despair. Their eyes were filled with resentment as they cursed Helmut Tianhu. However, it was useless. The moment they had set up the array formation, it had already been abandoned. Only death awaited them. Stop! The heavenly demonic Rat King roared in midair. He stopped the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder from killing them because he was afraid that the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder would monopolize the treasures. After all, the blood-stained broken sword, the little mouse fossil, and the Supreme Being's fingerbone were all items that could cause a bloodbath if they were taken out alone. I, the heavenly demonic Rat King, will get whatever I want. After saying that, the heavenly demonic Rat King didn't care about anything else. He went around the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder's attack and came to the bodies of the helpers at a speed that was invisible to the naked eye. He quickly searched through their interspatial rings. Nothing. After searching through a few people, the heavenly demonic Rat King's face gradually darkened. How could this be? You're courting death. The heavenly demonic Rat King was furious. A mere Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder dared to attack him. Moreover, he suspected that he was too late. Could it be that the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder had already monopolized the treasures? No matter what, he could kill him and search his interspatial ring to get what he wanted. He was known as the Thief Saint. There was nothing in the world that he couldn't get. The Great Snow Mountain was the victim. He had sneaked into the Great Snow Mountain countless times to steal the sacred treasures. But now, he had failed. He was furious. Boom, boom, boom. Two great experts were fighting head-on. The battle was very intense. The matrix was broken. As for the helpers that Helmut Tianhu found, they were all dead and lying in a pool of blood. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Far away, some people were watching. They were relatively weak. They just wanted to fish in troubled waters. Seeing the two great experts fighting, they didn't dare to get close. As for King Mu, he ordered the Empire's army to surround the mountain. No one could escape. After doing all this, he quickly rushed to the battlefield. On the streets of Shenlong City, Fang Chen was walking leisurely. His gaze was looking towards the north. At this moment, there should be an intense battle erupting in that direction, right? He didn't know whether those people were injured or not. But all of this was not within his scope of thinking. He had more important things to do, especially when it involved the killing order. If the chief disciple of the Taishen sect didn't know, then he would go to the Taishen sect's hierarch. If he didn't know, then he would go to the Great Snow Mountain's patriarch. There had to be someone who could answer his questions. Of course, before that, he had to study the items that he had obtained from the auction. Rustle. Just as Fang Chen was thinking, suddenly, a figure came from not far away. It was Wang Ting from the Wang family of the Hua tribe. At this moment, Wang Ting's body was surrounded by a layer of flames. He smiled at Fang Chen and clasped his fist. "Brother, there seems to be something on you that attracted me." Chapter 3999. Brother, there seems to be something on your body that attracts me. Suddenly, a clear voice rang out from the crowd, causing Fang Chen to stop in his tracks. When he turned around, he realized that the person who had called out to him was Wang Ting from the Wang family of the Fire tribe, one of the subordinate forces of the Great Snow Mountain. Wang Ting's body was covered with a layer of thick flames. Everywhere he went, the temperature rose sharply. He walked slowly and came in front of Fang Chen, looking at him with a smile. Fang Chen frowned and didn't say anything. Wang Ting continued, "I can feel the aura of that stone on your body." Fang Chen immediately understood. The stone Wang Ting was talking about should be the Tianyuan stone related to Emperor Fury. He thought carefully. It seemed that the Tianyuan stone did contain a rare flame. He didn't expect Wang Ting to be able to sense it. He looked at Wang Ting with a complicated expression. It seemed that the Fire tribe deserved its reputation. At least Wang Ting, who was standing in front of him, had a control of fire that was beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. In his knowledge, Wang Ting could be ranked in the top 3. Thinking of this, Fang Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head slightly. He didn't expect that he would underestimate the strength of the Wang family of the Fire tribe. "I don't understand what you're talking about." Fang Chen naturally wouldn't admit it. He didn't want to cause trouble for himself, nor did he want to expose himself in public. That was why he asked the first disciple of the Taishen sect, the scholar, to lure the tiger away from the mountain to attract the fire. "You'll know." Flames of passion danced in Wang Ting's eyes. He raised his hand in a seemingly simple manner and placed it on Fang Chen's shoulder. A frightening force surged towards Fang Chen in an instant. The force surged into Fang Chen's body in an attempt to destroy his internal organs and force him to submit. Crack. However, Wang Ting miscalculated. The next second, he felt something strange. His power seemed to have entered a bottomless pit and disappeared silently. What happened next was even more shocking. His power was uncontrollably absorbed by Fang Chen. He couldn't move. How could this be? Finally, a look of shock appeared on Wang Ting's calm face. He forcefully moved his hand away. Bang! Wang Ting's body flew out and fell to the ground. Seeing this, the surrounding people were confused. Damn it, who the hell is he? Wang Ting crawled up from the ground. His heart was in turmoil. Ever since he started his martial arts career, he had never encountered such a strange thing. What kind of terrifying power was hidden in that person's body? How could it forcefully swallow his fire force? However, when he raised his head, he realized that Fang Chen had already disappeared into the crowd. You want to leave? Wang Ting was furious. This was the first time he had hit a wall. He was unwilling to give up. He sensed the aura in the air, found the right direction, and chased after it. A short while later, at the same hidden street corner, Fang Chen stopped and waited for Wang Ting. Rustle, rustle, rustle. After a while, a fervent killing force rushed over. Fang Chen from the fire tribe was bathed in flames. He stood on the ground like the Lord of Flames. 2 beams of fire shot out from his black eyes and locked onto Fang Chen. Who the hell are you? Wang Ting asked in a low voice. Is it important? Fang Chen turned his head and looked at Wang Ting calmly. I am Wang Ting, a disciple of the Wang family of the fire tribe. Everyone knows that the Wang family of the fire tribe specializes in fire. My attainment in fire has reached a bottleneck. I need to find an opportunity to break through. Can you lend me the stone you got related to Emperor Fury? Wang Ting asked. At the auction house, the Wang family of the fire tribe did not participate in the auction. That was because the stone was related to Emperor Fury. There were powerful cultivators from the devouring devil tribe in the auction house. Once they participated in the auction, they would become enemies with the devouring devil tribe. The Wang family of the fire tribe was not enough to fight against the devouring devil tribe. Therefore, after the auction, he used the fire sense in the Tianyuan stone to track Fang Chen. Borrow? Fang Chen said. The Wang family of the fire tribe is really calculative. At the auction, you did not want to offend the devouring devil tribe and did not want to pay the price. Now that the auction is over, you want to kill me and force me to lend you the stone. Is this the so-called Wang family of the fire tribe? The Wang family is reasonable. We did not rob you. We just want to borrow it. As for the reward, you can name it. The Wang family will definitely satisfy you, Wang Ting said with a smile. Although it was called borrowing, it was actually robbing. Fang Chen shook his head. In the world of martial arts, as long as cultivation resources were involved, everyone's face was ugly. The Wang family was no exception. They were even inferior to the Taishan sect. He did not dwell on this matter. Instead, he stretched out his finger and pointed at the place. He asked, "Do you know where this is?" Wang Ting was stunned. He shook his head to show that he did not know. Let me tell you a story. Maybe you will understand. Fang Chen said with a smile. Not long ago, a white-haired old man and his disciple intercepted me at this street corner. They were much more direct than you at that time. They clearly stated that they wanted me to hand over the sovereign finger bone. Wang Ting frowned. The white-haired old man had brought his disciple and had clearly asked him to hand over the sovereign finger bone. Could it be that he was the cultivator in VIP room 1? That's right. I think you should have guessed it. His name is Kai Lian, Fang Chen continued, but there was a hint of mockery on his face. What? Wang Ting was shocked. The cultivator in VIP room 1 was the legendary master Kai Lian, the only super cultivator in the origin world who could forge peerless sacred class weapons. He was a famous cultivator. Wang Ting did not expect him to come to the auction. No. He suddenly realized that if this person was really killed by Master Kai Lian, how could he still be standing in front of him? Wang Ting snorted coldly. He subconsciously thought that Fang Chen was lying. However, the latter's next words made Wang Ting a little frightened. Do you know what I said when faced with that old codger's coercion? Asked Fang Chen. Beg for mercy? Wang Ting guessed that Fang Chen must have begged Master Kai Lian for mercy and then handed over the sovereign finger bone. Only then did he save his life. Wang Ting did not know if the stone was still on him. Don't worry. Hand over the stone, and the Wang family of the fire tribe will never expose your information. We will never bother you again. Do you know that standing in front of you is a gap that you can never cross? Fang Chen said this again. This was the second time he said the same thing in the same place. However, the enemy he was facing was completely different. What? Just as Wang Ting was stunned and puzzled, a terrifying force swept over. End of chapter. Chapter 4000. While Wang Ting was still in a daze, an extremely terrifying flame energy rushed towards him. It transformed into a thick fire dragon in front of him and coiled around him. By the time he reacted, he couldn't break free from this thick fire dragon no matter how much strength he used. Hiss! The fire dragon's binding on Wang Ting grew stronger and stronger. The pressure he felt also grew stronger and stronger. He even felt like he couldn't breathe. No, how can this be? Wang Ting couldn't accept this. He was the most outstanding genius of the younger generation of the Wang family of the Fire tribe. In the entire origin world, his attainments in the Tao of Fire were at the top of the younger generation. But now, he was being bound by a strange cultivator's flame technique, and he couldn't even resist. It was simply unimaginable. Although the fire dragon's binding was very strong, Wang Ting wasn't a pushover. He quickly calmed down. Then, the flame in his body gradually rotated, releasing wisps of terrifying energy. "Chimph, you want to play with fire with me?" The moment his natal flame was unleashed, Wang Ting's confidence soared. He was not afraid of anyone when it came to the path of fire. He was confident he could even fight against the strong cultivators of the clan, let alone an unfamiliar cultivator. "I will let you know that the flame of the Wang family of the Fire tribe is completely different from other people's flames." As soon as Wang Ting finished speaking, the flame in his body surged out and forcibly covered his body. Layer after layer of flame runes covered his entire body, blocking the fire dragon's binding. He got a chance to catch his breath. Then, he launched a fierce and domineering attack. "Flames incinerate the world," Wang Ting shouted. His hands formed a seal, and he used the strongest technique of the Wang family of the Fire tribe. Using his incredible life flame as the foundation, a majestic sea of fire quickly spread out, engulfing the entire street corner. He tried to use the sea of fire to drown Fang Chen. As long as he killed him, the flames binding him would naturally disappear. But he was wrong. He was facing no one else but Fang Chen. He never dreamed that the enemy he was facing this time would be so strong. Crack! When his sea of flames arrived in front of Fang Chen, the latter let out a cold harumph and stomped his foot. At that instant, the ground began to tremble as the space was torn apart. An icy aura surged toward Wang Ting. Wang Ting was dumbfounded by the sight that followed. He could not believe his eyes. The sea of fire that he had spread with his natal flame had been extinguished so easily by his opponent. "No!" Wang Ting let out a cry of despair as the flame dragons wrapped around him tightened their grip. His defenses shattered, and his fleshly body exploded, causing blood to spray out in all directions. Dong! A deafening sound. Wang Ting's life flame was extinguished. His life had come to an end. Why? Wang Ting tried his best to get up, but his primordial spirit had already shattered. His vitality was dissipating rapidly. He knew that he was going to die, but he couldn't accept it. Ah! Wang Ting used his last bit of energy and howled at the sky. In the end, he slowly fell into a pool of blood. Wang family of the Fire race. Fang Chen's expression was calm as he muttered to himself. At his level, brute force could break anything. The so-called Tao of Fire was just a special power in his eyes. As long as he had absolute power, all schemes and tricks would be useless in front of him. After killing Wang Ting, Fang Chen waved his hand. Instantly, the remains on the ground were all destroyed and scattered with the wind. Then, he quickly disappeared from the corner of the street. In Xianlong City, no one knew that Wang Ting, the genius of the Wang family of the Fire race, would remain here forever. At the top floor of the Xianlong Pavilion. Ever since Fang Chen had left, the pavilion master had sent people to pay close attention to the situation in Xianlong City. As expected. So far, he had received 2 pieces of information, especially the most recent one. He couldn't help but tremble. Wang Teng of the Wang family of the Fire race is suspected to be dead. This news was personally sent by the First Elder. They had contacted the Wang family of the Fire race and found that Wang Teng's life tablet had shattered. At this moment, the pavilion master also vaguely felt a fiery aura floating in Xianlong City. He instantly guessed that Wang Ting must have been killed by that mysterious elite. Sigh. The pavilion master was silent for a long time. Then, he sighed. He vaguely remembered that the mysterious elite told him something when he brought the stone here. No matter who it was, the person who bought the stone related to Emperor Fury had to bring him to see the mysterious elite. But now, he was a little hesitant. To be able to kill Wang Teng of the Wang family of the fire race, this person's combat power was probably not weaker than his. In addition, during the auction, he had spent a lot of money and didn't give anyone face. This person must have a very strong background. For a moment, the pavilion master didn't dare to provoke Fang Chen. Pavilion master? The first elder's voice came from the communication jade pendant. But in the end, the pavilion master shook his head and gave up on that idea. Forget it. Let him be. The pavilion master said, this person is too strong. His danger level is the highest. If we anger him, the Xianlong Pavilion will be destroyed because of it. Back then, the mysterious elite had obviously considered this factor. Hence, he had said that if they couldn't find him, or if he was too threatening, they shouldn't look for him. Okay, I understand. The first elder immediately gave the order. He ordered all the spies hidden in Xianlong City to withdraw. They must not let Fang Chen find them. After killing Wang Teng of the Wang family of the fire race, Fang Chen swaggered out of Xianlong City. His next destination was the Taishen sect. At this moment, in a mountain range far away from Xianlong City, the battle had come to an end. The helpers that Gong Tianhu had found were all dead. None of them survived. The scene was very chaotic. Although the battle had ended, the battle between the celestial demonic Rat King and the Great Snow Mountain was still going on. One side suspected the other. In short, they all thought that the treasure must have been taken by the other side. Humph, if you don't hand it over, I, the celestial demonic Rat King, swear that the Great Snow Mountain will never have a day of peace. The celestial demonic Rat King was angry and threatened. You're courting death. The fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain was furious. He directly launched a fierce attack. However, the celestial demonic Rat King knew that if they continued fighting, there would be no winner. It would also bring unnecessary trouble. Hence, he directly fled. The fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain's face was gloomy. He didn't chase after him. He was thinking, where did the treasure go? Or, was this a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain? Is he still in Xianlong City? End of chapter. Chapter 4001. The battle between the celestial demon Rat King and the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder had come to an end. The former had also fled far away. Neither of them had gotten what they wanted. As for the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder, he suspected that Fang Chen was trying to lure the tiger away from the mountain. He wanted to quickly leave the mountain range and return to Mystery Dragon City. However, at the edge of the mountain range, he encountered a large-scale encirclement. The leader was the Reverend King. He was the strongest person in his country. In order to obtain the treasure, he did not hesitate to encircle the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder. Of course, he would not let anyone in the mountain range go. Reverend King, are you crazy? The Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder sensed that the surrounding space had been sealed. His communication jade pendant had also stopped working. His expression changed greatly as he shouted, "Hand over the treasure. Otherwise, no one will be able to leave this mountain range," the Reverend King said coldly. "Humph, you dare to attack the Great Snow Mountain? You're courting death." With that, the Great Snowy Mountain's fifth elder struck out like lightning, clashing fiercely with the Reverend King's large army. The Reverend King naturally wouldn't just stand by and watch. He was well aware of the Great Snowy Mountain's fifth elder's strength, so he personally took action to pin him down. The battle grew more and more intense, and in the blink of an eye, several hours had gone by. The Reverend King was now displaying an extraordinary level of power. With a boom, the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder was finally unable to withstand the Reverend King's attack, and was forced back. Deng deng deng. After he stabilized himself, he realized that the Reverend King, whom they had ignored, had been hiding his strength all along. At the critical moment, he erupted with his true strength, causing the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder to tremble in fear. "You were hiding your strength." The Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder's face was ferocious. "Hand over the treasure or die." The Reverend King did not want to get entangled with the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder. He had already received news that the celestial demon Rat King was trying to break out from another direction. Now that it was being held back by the death warriors he had secretly trained, he had to deal with the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder as quickly as possible and then rush over to support the death warriors. Whether it was the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder or the celestial demon Rat King, they could all be carrying treasures. He would rather kill 1,000 innocents than let one of them go free. The Reverend King had been waiting patiently for countless years, all for this moment. He had even risked offending the Great Snow Mountain to get his hands on the treasure. Otherwise, all his efforts would have been for naught. You are courting death. The Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder raised his head to the sky and let out a long howl of rage. He once again engaged in a fierce battle with the Reverend King. However, as the main character, Fang Chen, although he had predicted that a great battle would break out in the mountains, he hadn't expected that the Reverend King would be the one who had the last laugh. Sho. Yi Futian did not care about any of this. He had already left Mystery Dragon City and was heading towards the region where the Taishen sect was located. Of course, on the way to the Supreme Mystery Sect, he was also refining the Supreme Being's finger bone. Hiss. In a certain canyon, Fang Chen had been hurrying for more than 10 days. Today, he had gained some enlightenment and found this canyon. He hid himself there, preparing to seriously comprehend the Paragon Fingerbone. However, when he fully immersed himself in the Supreme Fingerbone, he discovered that his Tao manifestation level primordial spirit was actually unable to penetrate the core of the Supreme Fingerbone. Within the Supreme Fingerbone, there was a protective layer. After passing through the protective layer, Fang Chen discovered that there was a layer of golden seal. Although he wasn't sure what was inside, his intuition told him that the core of the Supreme Fingerbone was behind the golden seal. Whoosh! Fang Chen took a deep breath as he increased the strength of his Tao manifestation primordial spirit. Terrifying soul Tao energy continuously gathered in his mind. Finally, under his control, it condensed into a thick pillar of light that flew out from his head and frantically poured into the sovereign fingerbone. Buzz! When the thick beam of Soul Tao energy entered the Supreme Fingerbone, Fang Chen was shocked to discover that the bone emitted a paragon's aura. Boom. This paragon's aura made him feel uncomfortable. Fortunately, with the protection of his Tao manifestation level primordial spirit, the paragon's aura was greatly weakened. Just like that, Fang Chen fell into an endless state of comprehension. He was completely unaware that the battle in the mountain range not far from Mystic Dragon City had already ended. It ended with the tragic death of the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder. It had to be said that the Reverend King was an extremely dangerous person. In the past, no one in the Great Snow Mountain cared about the Reverend King. They all thought that the Reverend King posed no threat. In fact, the Reverend King had repeatedly lost to some old monsters who had been famous for a long time. His strength was greatly doubted. However, the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder only found out before his death that the Reverend King was the one who had concealed his strength the most. The Reverend King's strength was much stronger than his. Even when he used the Great Snow Mountain's ultimate technique, he still couldn't contend against the Reverend King. In the end, he could only die tragically. After killing the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder, the Reverend King was also injured. He hurriedly checked the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder's body. In the end, he didn't find anything. Then, he gritted his teeth and rushed to the next battlefield. A few days later, news spread that the celestial demonic Rat King was surrounded by mysterious experts and died tragically. When the news spread, the entire Mystic Dragon City was in an uproar. Countless people were guessing who killed the celestial demonic Rat King. He was a super expert known as the Thief Sage. In terms of escaping ability, if the celestial demonic Rat King claimed to be second, no one in this area would dare to claim to be first. Even the celestial demonic Rat King couldn't escape and died tragically. How powerful was the person who killed him? Because the news was sealed, and the Reverend King's team had already gone into hiding. The Reverend King even created a false impression that he was still in Mystic Dragon City. Therefore, no one suspected him. However, everyone vaguely felt that the sky had changed. Damn it. The reverent king smashed a small hill in front of him with his palm. He was furious. The Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder didn't have the treasure from the auction. The celestial demonic rat king didn't have it either. Then, where did the treasure go? Could it be that the guy didn't give the treasure to the scholar, the chief disciple of the Taishen sect? Thinking of this, the reverent king ordered the spies in Mystic Dragon City to search for Fang Chen's whereabouts. At the same time, he also ordered others to track the scholar's whereabouts. Because, at the place where the celestial demonic rat king and the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder fought, he didn't find the scholar's corpse. There were only the corpses of some strangers. This meant that the scholar was still alive. Humph, I'd like to see how you can escape from my hands. The reverent king snorted and said disdainfully. He had been hiding for so long. Since he had exposed his strength, he naturally had to gain something. Otherwise, how could he be worthy of his long hibernation? A storm was brewing, and undercurrents were surging. The people in Mystic Dragon City also felt that something was wrong. The Mystic Dragon Pavilion master even ordered the Mystic Dragon Pavilion to close for a period of time. No one knew what would happen next. Chapter 4002. In a hidden canyon, towering trees covered the sky and covered the sun. At a glance, the entire canyon was lush and verdant, a stretch of green. In such a spring valley, there were endless dangers hidden within. At this moment, in the deepest part of the canyon, Fang Chen was sitting cross-legged on a yellow futon. Below the futon, there were countless complicated patterns. These patterns were centered on the yellow futon and constantly spread throughout the entire canyon. If Fang Chen had not passed by here in a hurry, he would not have discovered that there was such a huge energy-gathering formation in such a remote canyon. When the universe was first created, it was chaotic. Then, it evolved into yin and yang qi. Together with the origin of the 5 elements, it stabilized the space. This allowed the world to gradually stabilize and grow. In the cultivation world, the so-called Emperor realm was the yin-yang profound realm. After that, it was the 5 elements sacred realm. This also meant that after cultivating to a certain level, one could come into contact with a higher level of heavenly way power. The origin of the 5 elements was the most basic and solid foundation to maintain the power of heavenly way. After entering the saint realm, one needed to absorb the power of the origin to increase one's strength. The energy-gathering formation in this canyon was very valuable. If the outside world knew about it, it would inevitably cause a bloodbath. Fang Chen was studying the sovereign finger bone. After discovering this wonderful place, he immediately chose to cultivate here for a short period of time. Since it was an energy-gathering formation, why was it said to be a dangerous place? It turned out that the energy-gathering formation could indeed gather the power of the origin of heaven and earth. Moreover, it could gather 5 different kinds of power of the origin at the same time. If an ordinary person blindly activated the energy-gathering formation to absorb the power of the origin, he would be attacked by the different powers of the origin and explode. However, Fang Chen was different. His understanding of the origin had reached an incredible level. Moreover, he had embarked on the complete cultivation system of the ancient civilization. His strength had reached an unprecedented level. He could withstand the impact of the 5 different powers of the origin. Boom, boom, boom. Fang Chen sat cross-legged and touched the sovereign finger bone with both hands. He seriously sensed the power within. Be it the human tribe or the devouring demons tribe, once a person stepped into the sovereign realm, he or she would have the power of a sovereign, regardless of race. Therefore, Fang Chen did not know if the revered finger bone belonged to the demon-devouring tribe or an expert from the chaotic realm. However, he was certain that the finger bone came from the primal chaos battlefield. Wang. Vast amounts of origin source energy poured into Fang Chen's body through the origin gathering array. The ultimate power in his body was also fully activated, churning wildly. After an indeterminable amount of time, Fang Chen's body suddenly trembled as the paragon's finger bone in his hand shattered. Voila! The paragon's finger bone shattered, and the fragments fell off. In the end, it transformed into a tiny dot of light, which floated there in the air, swirling around Fang Chen. It began to absorb a large amount of source energy. Fang Chen was a little stunned, But he did not interrupt. When the dot of light absorbed enough source energy, it suddenly drilled into his mind. In the next moment, he felt that his head was about to explode. The pain spread throughout his body, and he let out a miserable cry, holding his head with both hands. However, at the critical moment, Fang Chen was shocked to find that the dot of light had no ill intentions towards him. Instead, it was merging with the ultimate power in his body. Most importantly, Fang Chen found that under the effect of the dot of light, the ultimate power was thickening. What did this mean? It meant that the ultimate power was undergoing a transformation. This shocked Fang Chen. Could the ultimate power be transformed? Whoosh. In the past, his understanding of the ultimate power was limited. After using the Paragon's finger bone, he seemed to have guessed something. Perhaps something like the Paragon's bone could transform the ultimate power. Just as he was thinking, the dot of light had completely merged with the ultimate power. Then, something strange happened. The thickened ultimate power was actually separating. In the blink of an eye, an ultimate power was separated. This is... Fang Chen was stunned. Was he about to step into the 11th level of the Saint Realm? Hiss. Hiss. In the following time, the transformed ultimate power continued to separate. In the blink of an eye, the amount of ultimate power reached the standard of the 11th level of the Saint Realm. At this time, a roar came from Fang Chen's body. His whole person underwent a qualitative leap. He felt that the primordial spirit in his mind was trembling. The amount of ultimate power in his mind had reached 100. The 11th level? Fang Chen muttered to himself. He did not expect that the Paragon's finger bone would give him such a big harvest. He was simply stunned. The cultivation system of the Age of Chaos was incomplete. It could only be cultivated to the 9th level of the Saint Realm. However, it was almost impossible to step into the chaotic supremacy realm with such a cultivation system. However, Fang Chen cultivated the complete cultivation system of the ancient civilization. It could be cultivated to the 13th level of the Saint Realm. Now, after a lot of hard work, he finally stepped into the 11th level of the Saint Realm. This also meant that he was one step closer to the chaotic supremacy realm. Huff. When the 100 ultimate power in his body stabilized, Fang Chen took a deep breath. His face was full of joy. It seems like I have to look for more Paragon's bones in the future. Fang Chen muttered to himself. Of course, that was what he said. The Paragon's bones were too precious to be found so easily. However, no matter how difficult it was, he would still try to find them. Boom. At this moment, the energy-gathering formation in the gorge loudly collapsed. The origin energy that had accumulated over countless years all surged into Fang Chen's body. Dong. Dong. Fang Chen's feelings. He felt that his affinity with the 5 elements' origin energy was constantly increasing. When the 100 ultimate power helped him completely stabilize the origin energy that was pouring into the energy-gathering array, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fang Chen was excited. The Paragon's finger bone had given him such a big harvest. What about the other things? One had to know that he had obtained a lot of good things at the auction. The heavenly source stone, the blood-stained broken sword, the little mouse fossil. Which one of them wasn't a treasure that could make people go crazy? Other than the little mouse fossil, which he had to leave for his good brother, the heavenly source stone and the blood-stained broken sword could be used by him. Fang Chen couldn't wait to use them to see if he could break through to a higher realm. But soon, reason calmed him down. He had just stepped into the 11th level of the Saint Realm, and his realm wasn't stable enough. At this time, if he forced himself to condense the ultimate power to break through to a higher realm, it might damage his foundation. This ancient road was long and lonely. He couldn't be anxious. Otherwise, all his previous efforts would be wasted. End of chapter. Chapter 4003. The Supreme Fingerbone's energy had been completely absorbed by Fang Chen, and the profound mysteries within it had been deciphered by him. Of course, it was also a coincidence that he had found an energy-gathering formation that helped him absorb the 5 elements' origin energy. This helped him condense the last few strands of ultimate force and step into the 11th order true saint realm. At the same time, The finger bone's remains were also completely absorbed by his finger and fused together. Buzz! Fang Chen lightly tapped with a finger. Suddenly, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. The entire energy-gathering array swayed violently, and loopholes appeared one after another. The cliff in the distance was shattered by a finger, and the structure of the canyon was severely damaged. The lush towering trees were annihilated in an instant. At a glance, it was a scene of desolation. So strong. Fang Chen grinned. He had once fused with the heart of the heavenly dragon sovereign, so he knew that even if the power of the sovereign's body dissipated, the body itself was still indestructible. After fusing with it, his fingers could be said to be the hardest part of his body. Even if a top Saint Realm expert attacked with all their might, they might not be able to break his fingers. A finger is already so strong. If I can fuse with a complete supreme skeleton, the strength of my physical body will definitely reach an unprecedented level. Fang Chen muttered to himself. Of course, he also knew that for countless years, there were very few supreme beings born between heaven and earth. Especially after the Dark Era, supreme beings had gone extinct. Finding a complete supreme's remains was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Rather than hoping for this, it was better to work hard and strive to step into the supreme realm as soon as possible. At least, whether it was in terms of soul, physical body, or martial arts, he had an absolute advantage. His soul had reached the level of Tao manifestation a long time ago. If it was in the ancient civilization, his soul would definitely be able to reach the supreme realm. However, in the age of chaos, the heavenly Tao was missing, and there were too many restrictions. In addition, his physical body had reached the pinnacle level, and he also had the most complete cultivation system of the ancient civilization. This made him far superior to those in the same realm. At least. At this stage, in terms of combat strength, he was almost invincible as long as the chaotic supremes didn't appear. Even if he were to face a half-step supremes, he had the confidence to fight them. Moreover, in this era, half-step supremes were extremely rare, or even non-existent. However, Fang Chen's goal was not just this. He bore the heavy responsibility of saving the chaotic realm. He had to step into the chaotic supremacy realm before the demon-devouring clan leader came out of seclusion. Otherwise, the chaotic realm would disappear completely. Whoosh! Spitting out a mouthful of turbid air, Fang Chen stopped cultivating. He stood up and looked around. The source-gathering array had been damaged, and there was a hole in it. Moreover, the structure of the canyon had been completely destroyed by his finger, leaving it in ruins. He shook his head helplessly and left the canyon. In the mountain range outside Mystery Dragon City, no one was there. He had no idea that the fifth elder of the Great Snow Mountain had died at the hands of the Reverend King. At this moment, the Reverend King had already led his army to surround the celestial demonic Rat King. However, the latter was known as the Thief Sage after all. His escape technique was too powerful. After 7 days and 7 nights of fierce battle, the celestial demonic Rat King finally managed to escape. The Reverend King did not give chase. He knew that even if he did, he would not be able to catch up with the celestial demonic Rat King. "Reverend King, what should we do?" a subordinate asked. The Reverend King stood with his hands behind his back. His pitch-black eyes looked into the distance as he pondered. The celestial demonic Rat King had already escaped. Judging from his appearance, he did not seem to have gotten the items from the auction. Moreover, he was also looking for them. So, who had the items? Could it still be with that person? Did you find anything else? For the time being, he did not care about the celestial demonic Rat King. The latter was severely injured and would not release his information. On the other side of the mountain range, we found the scholar, the chief disciple of the Taishan sect, and Hai Tianhu. The subordinate said. Hearing this, the Reverend King's eyes flickered. The 5 great Snow Mountain generals and the celestial demonic Rat King had come to this mountain range because of the scholar. In other words, he was the main character of this incident. As long as they could find him and ask him about it, everything would be fine. Whoosh! Moments later, the Reverend King arrived in front of the scholar. The scholar had a bitter smile on his face. Beside him, Hai Tianhu was at a loss. He still could not get over the fact that he had killed his teammates. Until now, he still hated the scholar in his heart. However, he did not know how to express it. The scholar of the Taishan sect greets the Reverend King. Seeing the Reverend King, the scholar hurriedly clasped his fists. He did not expect the Reverend King to be involved in this. However, he did not know how the celestial demonic Rat King and the Great Snow Mountain Fifth Elder were doing. He would never have thought that the Reverend King standing in front of him was the strongest person in this incident. You will answer my questions. Otherwise, die. The Reverend King's voice carried an unquestionable majesty. Please ask, Reverend King. I will tell you everything I know. He thought that he could escape from this calamity by killing his teammates. Who would have thought that he would be intercepted by the Reverend King's men? He had some understanding of the Reverend King. This man was decisive in killing. He had once slaughtered an entire city for his own power. People called him the Mad Demon. Who is the owner of the 9th VIP room? The Reverend King asked. The scholar shook his head. I do not know him. Buzz. A terrifying pressure instantly pressed down on the scholar, causing him to kneel on the ground with a thump. He felt as if all the bones in his body were about to explode. Reverend King. I really do not know his identity. He came looking for me and threatened me with his life. He told me to take my friend Gong Tianhu and quickly leave Mystic Dragon City. As for the specific reason, I do not know. A plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain? The Reverend King frowned. Would this plan work? Obviously, it would not. No matter where the scholar fled, he would not be able to escape from the Reverend King's grasp. Then do you know where he is? The Reverend King continued asking. He seems to be very interested in the killing order. He keeps asking me about it. If my guess is correct, he has most likely gone to the Taishan sect to ask the sect leader about it, the scholar said. Of course, based on my understanding of the Great Snow Mountain, the emissary must have already made his move. It won't be long before he dies at the hands of the emissary. The Reverend King had also heard about the killing order from the Great Snow Mountain. He did not expect that the guy from the 9th VIP room would be killed by the Great Snow Mountain. Who was the one who issued the killing order? The Reverend King asked. It was me. The scholar helplessly told the Reverend King everything that had happened. After hearing the story, the Reverend King fell into deep thought. Can you sense the aura of the killing order? After a long time, the Reverend King asked. He had to find the scholar before the emissary from the Great Snow Mountain killed him. The only way to break through was through the killing order. End of chapter. Chapter 4004. The Reverend King had already revealed his hidden strength. He had even killed the Great Snow Mountain's fifth elder and forced the heavenly demon Rat King to flee. If he returned empty-handed, he would not be able to accept it. Therefore, he wanted to find Fang Chen at all costs. Since the Reverend King had the killing token on him, would the scholar be able to sense the aura of the token? If we're close enough, I can sense it. The scholar's heart was filled with fear. He was powerless against the Reverend King and could only do as he was told. The slightest mistake would cost him his life. All right, then you can sense it. Don't try any tricks, or don't blame me for being impolite. As soon as he finished speaking, the Reverend King slammed his palm down on Jiao Tianhu. Before the latter could react, his body was split into two and his primordial spirit shattered. He died instantly. Seeing this scene, the scholar's body trembled. HMPH, I don't want others to know about this. The Reverend King sneered. Although he was strong, he had a country behind him. If the news spread to the Great Snow Mountain, it would bring him a lot of trouble. Now, let's go. The Reverend King led the scholar out of the mountain range. As for the Reverend King's group, they continued to search for any suspicious clues. After stepping into the 11th Order Saint realm, Fang Chen's combat strength soared. He felt that his body was brimming with energy that needed to be released. Just like that, he flew in the direction of the Supreme Mystery Sect while attacking the demonic beasts along the way. In just 3 days, he felt that he had gained complete control over the ultimate force in his body. More importantly, he felt that there was a connection between the Tao condensing primordial spirit and the ultimate force. This made him very happy. Shushisha. After an unknown amount of time, he stopped and stood on top of a mountain peak. Looking into the distance, he saw a faintly discernible city in the distance. That city was the Supreme Mystery City, and the headquarters of the Supreme Mystery Sect was located within it. Have I finally arrived? Fang Chen muttered to himself as a smile appeared on his face. According to his understanding, the scholar only knew that the killing token was given to him by the Supreme Mystery Sect Master, but he didn't know the profound meaning behind it. Only by finding the Supreme Mystery Sect Master would he be able to clear his doubts. Hoo. Just like that, he rushed to Taishan City in one breath. As soon as he entered the city, he went straight to the location of the Taishan sect. At this moment, inside the Taishan sect, there was complete silence. Everyone was on high alert. The elders had also been summoned back, as if something big was about to happen. As the leader of a sect, the Taishan Hierophant was cultivating in a secret chamber. Wang. The Taishan Hierophant flipped his palm, and suddenly, vast ripples spread out from his body. At a speed visible to the naked eye, they condensed into a matrix. Supreme Mystery Great Array. To see behind this matrix, the Taishan Hierophant had an excited smile on his face. After cultivating for countless years, he had finally completed the Taishan matrix. This was the core of the Taishan Sutra. Condense. In the next moment, the Taishan Hierophant shouted in a low voice. His hands quickly formed seals. The Taishan matrix shook and the secret chamber was in chaos. Many elders outside were shocked and asked if the Hierophant was okay. However, the Taishan Hierophant had given a strict order that no matter who it was, no one was to disturb his cultivation. Now, he had finally comprehended the ultimate meaning of the Taishan Sutra. How could he allow others to disturb him? The Taishan sect was known as one of the top methods. Only by engraving the Taishan matrix could the final attack of the Taishan Sutra be used. At this moment, the Taishan Hierophant's long hair flew in the wind. He opened his hands and touched the Taishan matrix. The Taishan power in his body surged. He laughed heartily and suddenly, with him as the center, the Taishan matrix erupted with vast power and gathered on his fist. He suddenly punched out. Dong. The secret chamber shook, and the earth shook. The Taishan matrix swayed and withstood this terrible blow. However, it was obvious that the Taishan matrix showed signs of damage. Whoosh. The Taishan Hierophant stopped cultivating and restrained his aura. He looked at the damaged Taishan matrix and smiled brightly. As expected of the ultimate attack of the Taishan Sutra, it can actually damage the Taishan matrix. He knew very well that due to the small size of the secret chamber, he did not use 100% of his strength in this attack. If he was fighting in the outside world, the strongest attack of the Taishan Sutra could definitely kill any cultivator of the Saint Plane. Now, he was confident that he could become the strongest fighter of the Great Snow Mountain. After so many years, I've finally cultivated it. The Taishan Hierophant was happy. He had finally cultivated the Taishan Sutra. From now on, he would have more power in the Great Snow Mountain. He just did not know if the scholar had succeeded. He immediately sent a message to the scholar. However, unexpectedly, the scholar did not reply. Whatever, I'll go to the Great Snow Mountain first, the Taishan Hierophant said to himself. However, just as he was about to leave, he suddenly found that the aura in the void had changed slightly. Although these changes were very small, he still noticed them. Who is it? The Taishan Hierophant shouted, "Get out here." He was very surprised. Who on earth could sneak into the secret chamber of the Taishan sect without him noticing? Buzz. A faint halo spread out in the secret chamber. In the blink of an eye, it completely sealed off the secret chamber and isolated it from the outside world. Even the Taishan Grand Formation was isolated from it. You're courting death. The Taishan Hierophant narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Immediately, he activated the Taishan Grand Formation to repair the damage. He gathered the vast power of Taishan in his fists. Suddenly, the power of Taishan Hierophant rushed out crazily. He threw a punch at the faint halo. Crack! The halo that spread throughout the secret chamber did not break. Instead, it absorbed all his power like cotton. At this moment, the Taishen Hierophant's face finally became serious. Whoosh! A figure appeared in front of him. "Who are you?" the Taishen Hierophant asked coldly. His intuition told him that the strength of the person in front of him was extraordinary. Even he could not see through him. He was not an ordinary person. "Haven't you been looking for me?" Fang Chen said. "You are." The Taishen Hierophant frowned. But when he saw Fang Chen take out the killing token, his body trembled. Immediately, his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. "It's you. You dare to come to the Taishen sect?" Soon, he remembered that the scholar had not replied when he had contacted him. When he saw Fang Chen come with the killing token, he even suspected that the scholar had been killed by this person. "You gave me the killing token and then sent people to kill me for the killing token. I want to know, who gave this order?" Fang Chen played with the killing token. The secret chamber had been sealed by him. No one from the outside world could know what was going on here. End of chapter. Chapter 4005. I have to say that you're very brave. The Taishen Hierophant regained his composure after a short moment. After all, he was an expert who had experienced many storms and was the leader of a Hierophant. He had the ability to control himself. He was curious. Who gave Fang Chen the courage to come to the Taishen Hierophant? Where was the scholar? Did he kill him? These thoughts flashed through the Taishen Hierophant's mind. He looked at Fang Chen and wanted to see what tricks he could play. "What's with the killing order?" Fang Chen asked. "Tempage, since you know about the killing order, why are you asking me?" The Taishen Hierophant thought that Fang Chen was angry at the scholar for giving him the killing order. He had lost his mind and came to the Taishen Hierophant to seek revenge. "I was going to let the scholar kill you and bring back the killing order. Now, it seems that there's no need for that. There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it." Boom, boom, boom. The Taishen Hierophant made his move. He used the Taishen Sutra and punched out. A huge fist aura appeared in the secret room and evolved into the pattern of the yin-yang fish. It pressed down on Fang Chen's head. Fang Chen sneered. According to the cultivation system of the ancient civilization, the Taishen Hierophant couldn't even reach the 10th level of the Saint Realm. How dare he try to fight with him, an 11th level Saint Realm expert? What a joke. Crash. Fang Chen pointed his finger and the yin-yang fish pattern formed by the Taishen Sutra shattered. The Taishen force also disappeared completely. Dong. The Taishen Hierophant felt a strong backlash and was forced to retreat. The Taishen Hierophant stabilized himself and frowned as he stared at Fang Chen. His heart was in turmoil. Who was this person? How could he be so strong? If he used the Taishen Sutra with all his strength, an ordinary 9th level Saint Realm expert wouldn't be able to block it. However, not only did this person block it, but he did it so easily. Feeling the slight trembling of his palm, the Taishen Hierophant began to seriously size up Fang Chen, as if he was facing a formidable enemy. He even secretly wanted to send a message to the other elders of the Taishen sect, asking them to encircle Fang Chen together. However, he was shocked to find that the message had failed. How is this possible? The faint halo that enveloped the secret room actually isolated it from the outside world. "Who are you?" the Taishen Hierophant asked in a deep voice. He had been in the world for so many years and had even followed the master of the Great Snow Mountain to conquer the world. He had never heard of such a young saint. Breaking his Supreme Mystery Sutra with a single finger was simply unheard of. Even the master of the Great Snow Mountain might not be able to do so. "Someone from a holy land?" the Taishen Hierophant asked. He suspected that Fang Chen was from the holy land of the devouring demons. Moreover, he was not from the younger generation. He should be an ancient expert who had been in a deep slumber. Otherwise, he could not possibly possess such powerful combat strength. "So, you don't know the true meaning of the killing warrant?" Fang Chen put away the killing warrant and said calmly. The Taishen Hierophant had always emphasized that it was a waste to use the killing warrant on him. It was such an important opportunity to ask the Great Snow Mountain for help, and he did not want to waste it. Therefore, He sent the scholar to find him and take back the killing warrant before the emissary of the Great Snow Mountain killed him. However, he had never dreamed that he would come to the Taishan sect to find him, and that he would be so powerful that he could crush him. The Taishan Hierophant did not speak and launched a fierce attack. The greatest meaning of the killing warrant was that it allowed the Great Snow Mountain to help once. No matter how strong the opponent was, the Great Snow Mountain would help to eliminate them. This was the greatest meaning of the killing warrant, and it was also the trump card of the Taishan sect. The Supreme Mystery Sutra was used again, but this time, 2 images of the yin-yang fish appeared in the sky above the secret room. The Taishan Hierophant activated all the Taishan power in his body and controlled the images of the yin-yang fish to attack Fang Chen wildly. Child's play. Fang Chen was no longer worried. He directly exploded with the combat strength of the 11th Order Saint Realm, easily breaking the yin-yang fish and suppressing the Supreme Mystery Sutra. Crack! The Taishan Hierophant was struck by lightning, and he fell heavily to the ground, spitting out blood. His face was pale, and the Taishan power in his body was gone. What frightened him even more was that the Supreme Mystery Sutra was eating away at his meridians. If this continued, his internal organs would be devoured and he would die. No. The Taishan Hierophant roared in anger, but he could not stop it. Who are you? Why do you want to kill the Taishan sect? The Taishan Hierophant's voice carried a trace of fear. He had thought that he could easily kill Fang Chen, but now he realized that he was no match for him. The latter was most likely an ancient expert of the Holy Lands who had been sleeping for a long time. They were not on the same level at all. What awaited him was death. The Supreme Mystery Sutra that he was so proud of was eating away at him, and the Supreme Mystery Grand Formation could not withstand a single blow. He had used all his trump cards, but he could not do anything. What else could he do? The Taishan Hierophant was also in despair. Since you do not know the meaning of the killing order, what is the use of keeping you alive? Poof! With a flick of his finger, it pierced through the Taishan Hierophant's head. The latter fell to the ground unwillingly and lost his life. Then Fang Chen disappeared. Several hours later, someone discovered that the Taishan Hierophant's life tablet had shattered. The news spread instantly, and the entire Taishan sect was shaken. The elders who were guarding the secret chamber forced the door open. What they saw was the messy chamber and the corpse of the Taishan Hierophant. Hierophant! Everyone was shocked and shouted. After the elders confirmed the death of the Taishan Hierophant, the atmosphere in the Taishan sect was extremely sad. Everyone's eyes were filled with anger. Who killed the Hierophant? While they were angry, they were also panicking. A cultivator who could kill the Taishan Hierophant without a sound must be someone with extraordinary means. If he wanted to kill, the Taishan sect would probably cease to exist. However, he did not even bother to make a move. He just took the Taishan Hierophant's life and left. Avenge the Hierophant, a disciple shouted. However, what greeted him was a thunderous blow from the first elder. Shut up! The other elders also trembled. They were afraid that the murderer would return. The death of the Hierophant is a big matter in the sect. We will gather all the members outside and discuss it together. Before that, no one is allowed to talk about the Hierophant's death. Otherwise, you will be punished, the first elder said. However, there was no such thing as an airtight wall in the world. Not long after, the other forces heard the news. The small forces that were usually bullied by the Taishan sect immediately joined forces to denounce the Taishan sect. The Taishan sect is too cruel. They bullied us and killed our families. We cannot let them kill us. It is time to raise our weapons and fight back. Many small forces began to call for more victims to join in. For a moment, the Taishan sect was surrounded by enemies. Chapter 4006. When King Mu heard the news of the Taishan Hierophant's death, he was stunned. He left Shenlong City immediately and went to the Taishan sect's territory to search for Fang Chen. Damn it, I should have thought of this. Actually, after learning about Fang Chen from the scholar, Yi Futian had guessed that in order to find out the secret of the killing order, Fang Chen had most likely infiltrated the Taishan sect to look for the Taishan Hierophant. However, Yi Futian still had a glimmer of hope for Shenlong City. He wanted to search around and see if Fang Chen was still hiding there. After all, as the ancients said, the most dangerous place was the safest place. There were many eyes and ears in Shenlong City. According to the logic of a normal person, this was definitely the most dangerous place. TMPH, I have never failed to get what I want. King Mu was extremely angry. He had never been played like this before. All the forces were denouncing the Taishen sect. In a short time, the huge Taishen sect collapsed. The Hierophant died, and there was no leader. The elders all had their own ulterior motives and were not united. In just 3 days, the Taishen sect was defeated. All the forces attacked Taishen City and took over the Taishen sect's territory. Of course. To Fang Chen, all this was meaningless. He only had one goal now, and that was to find out about the Killing Order. Why did the Killing Order contain the aura of the chaotic realm? What was behind the Great Snow Mountain? He even suspected that the person behind the Great Snow Mountain was from the chaotic realm. Of course, he had to solve all these mysteries himself. Rustle, rustle, rustle. When he left the Taishen sect's territory and entered a desert, he suddenly heard some slight movements in the void. He stopped on a small hill. The surroundings were desolate. A breeze blew, and yellow sand filled the sky. Who is it? Fang Chen said coldly. At the same time, he punched at a certain spot in the void. Boom! The void exploded, and a figure appeared out of nowhere. The moment he appeared, snowflakes fell from the sky. It was obvious that this person was from the Great Snow Mountain. Besides the emissary of the Great Snow Mountain, who else could track him silently? The emissary of the Killing Order? Fang Chen was slightly surprised. He did not expect the emissary of the Great Snow Mountain to come so quickly. Kid, you should be honored to die by my hands. The emissary of the Great Snow Mountain was burly, and his face was filled with a fierce aura. When he saw Fang Chen, he did not say anything and attacked. Boom, boom, boom. A terrifying aura shook the void. The Great Snow Mountain's emissary of the Great Snow Mountain was in the center. The Great Snow Mountain's emissary. And a cold aura-filled aura spread with the emissary at the center. Dong. Seeing this, Fang Chen stomped his foot, and the ground immediately froze. The snowflakes that got close to him also dissipated. The extreme cold aura could not get close to his body at all. Seeing this, the messenger of the Great Snow Mountain was stunned. He did not expect Fang Chen to be so strong. Finally, the messenger of the Great Snow Mountain spoke. In the past, the emissary of the Great Snow Mountain would kill anyone with the Killing Order in one blow. He did not waste time talking or asking for their name. However, Fang Chen's strength had obtained his acknowledgement. That was why he asked. Is it important? Fang Chen shrugged. He was not stupid enough to reveal his identity, but he was not sure if the emissary was a friend or foe. If the Great Snow Mountain's master was a chaotic realm expert, and the purpose of making the Killing Order was to find the people of the chaotic realm scattered in the origin world, then if he killed the emissary, he would be killing his own people. Fang Chen did not use his full strength in the face of the emissary's bombardment. Instead, he deliberately suppressed his strength. He was carefully observing the emissary's techniques to see if they had the aura of the chaotic realm. However, after fighting for an hour, Fang Chen finally gave up. The techniques used by the emissary were all from the chaotic realm. Fang Chen even sensed a trace of the aura of the devouring demon clan on him. I didn't expect the Great Snow Mountain to have a spy from the devouring demon clan. The emissary's face changed when he heard this. You're courting death. In the next moment, the emissary of the Great Snow Mountain was enraged. He summoned all of his strength and bombarded Fang Chen. However, he did not expect that this would be his only chance to use all of his strength. He would never have such an opportunity again. Kill. Fang Chen bellowed as he utilized his 11th Order True Saint Realm strength to suppress the Great Snow Mountain's envoy. The envoy's body froze in mid-air, unable to move. How is this possible? The emissary was stunned. How did the enemy's strength suddenly increase so much? Did he use a secret amplification technique? I can't take it head-on. The emissary made a decision in an instant. He prepared to escape first and wait for Fang Chen's amplification technique to end before coming back to kill him. However, he was obviously wrong. The strength of an 11th Order Saint Realm expert was unprecedentedly strong. The emissary did not even have the chance to react before his body exploded and his primordial spirit exploded. He died instantly. He did not even have the chance to scream. Boom! With a loud explosion, the emissary was dead. Fang Chen's heart was calm, but he was even more curious about the Great Snow Mountain. What kind of organization was this? He was even more curious and wanted to meet the legendary master of the Great Snow Mountain. However, what he did not know was that the moment the emissary died, the Great Snow Mountain was in an uproar. All the elders held an emergency meeting. The atmosphere in the meeting hall was heavy and everyone was silent. The fifth elder was dead, and now even the emissary was dead. Two people dying at the same time was a provocation to the Great Snow Mountain. What is going on? The Grand Elder asked, his voice filled with anger. According to the information our people sent back, the fifth elder once participated in the Mystery Dragon City's auction. After the auction, he went after the person who went against him. After that, he disappeared in the Mystery Dragon mountain range. Not long ago, his life slip shattered, proving that he was dead, someone said. According to our analysis, there are two possibilities for the fifth elder's death. The first possibility is that the owner of private room number 9 killed the fifth elder. The second possibility is that it was the heavenly demon Rat King who did it. The Grand Elder's face was filled with anger. Who dares to kill people of the Great Snow Mountain? They are simply courting death. The Grand Elder snorted. Our Great Snow Mountain has been quiet for so long. Has the world forgotten the fear we once had when we dominated this land? Other than that, there was another thing that made the Grand Elder furious. For so many years, no one with a kill order had survived. However, this was the first time the emissary was killed by the owner of the kill order. End of chapter. Wonderful Bookhouse. Chapter 4007. The Great Snow Mountain's envoy's death was within reason. After all, Fang Chen was a genuine 11th Order true saint. Not to mention the Great Snow Mountain's envoy, even if the Great Snow Mountain's lord was here, he might not be able to harm Fang Chen. However, after all, this was the origin world. Fang Chen would not be reckless. Any mistake could cause all his previous efforts to be wasted. It could even lead to the destruction of the entire Chaos world. After coming out of the Cliff of Death, Fang Chen had undergone an earth-shattering transformation. His combat strength had reached a terrifying level. What he needed to do now was to increase his strength as quickly as possible. He needed to reach the peak of the 13th Order Saint Realm and then break through to the Chaos Supremacy Realm. Of course, he also needed to search for clues left behind by the Chaos World experts. After passing through the mountain range, Fang Chen came to a vast expanse of white ice. At a glance, all he could see was white snow. It was impossible to tell which direction was which. In this way, Fang Chen continued to move forward according to the map on the kill order. About 3 days later, he encountered another assassination attempt. This time, it was still the Great Snow Mountain emissary. However, this emissary was very different from the first one he had killed. He was not from the Devouring Devil clan, but a special race. His bloodline was compatible with ice and snow, and he could display 200% of his combat strength on the ice field. The holder of the kill order must die. The Great Snow Mountain emissary said coldly. His icy aura merged with the ice field under his feet. He seemed to be able to borrow the power of nature. The ice and snow covered him, wanting to suppress Fang Chen. Kill. Fang Chen urged the ultimate power in his body and fought fiercely with the Great Snow Mountain emissary. It had to be said that an ordinary emissary would not be able to withstand the power of his fist. However, this emissary's bloodline was compatible with ice and snow, and his combat strength was extremely strong. Most importantly, he could hide in the white snow. If not for Fang Chen's abnormal Dao manifestation level soul, he would not have been able to find him. Whoosh! Fang Chen took a deep breath. Fortunately, it was him. If it was someone else, they would have died. Poochie. He had already discovered the Great Snow Mountain emissary hiding in the dark, but he pretended not to know. He looked in the opposite direction blankly. When the Great Snow Mountain emissary approached him and was about to launch a sneak attack, he made the first move and sent the emissary flying. Dong! The latter's internal organs exploded. Blood sprayed out, and the power in his body dissipated. His blood dripped onto the ice field, instantly dyeing it red. He endured his injuries and struggled to get up. He looked at Fang Chen in disbelief. "You can discover me?" Fang Chen did not say anything, but he immediately made his move. The emissary from the Great Snow Mountain wanted to kill him, so he would kill him in return. Poochie. After a fierce battle, the envoy of the Great Snowy Mountain finally collapsed in a pool of his own blood. His blood was compatible with ice and snow, so he might as well rest here forever. Perhaps this was the best place for him to return to. After all this was done, Fang Chen said, his figure flashed as he sped up towards the Great Snow Mountain. Evidently, the Great Snow Mountain was thoroughly enraged. 2 of their enforcers had died in his hands. This was a slap to the Great Snow Mountain's face. He could imagine that when the news spread, the Great Snow Mountain would definitely be enraged and send even stronger experts to deal with him. Naturally, what happened in the Great Snow Mountain's territory could not be hidden from the primitive tribes in the life-forbidden zone. The 3 White Ape brothers had returned safely. They followed behind the old white ape and stood quietly. In front of the cliff not far away, there were 2 figures standing. If Fang Chen was here, he would definitely recognize that the lady was Princess Huang, and the old man was Princess Huang's master. After the master and disciple brought back the Ghost Emperor's ghost artifact, they came to this mountain stream to cultivate. "My lord, we have received some news about Fang Chen." The old white ape brought his 3 grandchildren to the mountain stream and bowed. "What news?" Princess Huang, who was cultivating, hurriedly opened her eyes and asked. After Fang Chen left that city, he went to the Great Snow Mountain's territory. After our investigation, the mysterious expert who participated in the Mystery Dragon City's auction should be him, the old white ape said. He bid for many things, including the sovereign finger bone. Therefore, he was secretly tracked by many forces, including the celestial demonic Rat King, the Reverent King, and the Great Snow Mountain. "Then how is he?" Princess Huang was very worried about Fang Chen's safety. "Princess, don't worry. According to the information we have, he doesn't seem to be in any danger. He has already bypassed the most dangerous place and is heading to the Great Snow Mountain's headquarters." In fact, this was what the old white ape was most puzzled about. Why did Fang Chen insist on going to the Great Snow Mountain's headquarters? Could it be that the first disciple of the Taishen sect, the scholar, had issued a kill order for him, which angered him and made him go to the Great Snow Mountain's headquarters to seek revenge? However, based on his previous contact with Fang Chen, he was not such a reckless person. "The Great Snow Mountain?" Princess Huang's master opened his eyes and said with a smile, in the end, he still went there. "Master, you know about the Great Snow Mountain?" Princess Huang asked. "The kill order is in his hands." "Then, the Great Snow Mountain will definitely send an envoy to kill him." "That's right. Our people have sent back news that the Great Snow Mountain seems to have lost 2 envoys in his hands. Therefore, the Great Snow Mountain is very angry and sent out their most powerful envoy team to encircle and annihilate Fang Chen," the old white ape said. The 3 white ape brothers behind him were very anxious. Their lives were given by Fang Chen. If it weren't for them, Fang Chen wouldn't have attracted such a big disaster. "Grandpa, let us 3 brothers go and support Brother Fang." "Nonsense." The old white ape scolded, "He is already very strong. It is difficult to find a match among the 9th level Saint Realm. What can you do if you go? You will only drag him down. I told you to do well. Cultivate well, but you didn't listen. Now you know the gap between us, right?" The old white ape was very angry. He had told the 3 white ape brothers to cultivate well more than once, but they just didn't listen. He really hated them for not living up to his expectations. "Huang don't worry. It might not be a disaster for him to go to the Great Snow Mountain," Princess Huang's master said with a meaningful smile. But Princess Huang wanted to say that she wanted to find Fang Chen, but she was very clear that since she was accepted by the primitive race, she was restricted by many conditions. She was no longer her original self, but a member of the primitive race. The blood of the primitive race flowed in her body, and she couldn't do whatever she wanted. Your task is to cultivate well. If you can comprehend the inheritance left by your mother, there is hope for you to touch the threshold of the supremacy realm. The old man patted Princess Huang's shoulder and said, "Of course, our primitive race will always pay attention to Fang Chen's movements. If he really encounters a life and death crisis, we will not sit by and do nothing." Hearing her master's promise, Princess Huang was relieved. End of chapter. Chapter 4008. The Great Snow Mountain. This was a very mysterious force. It could be said that the Great Snow Mountain had always existed when the devouring demons were prosperous. However, it was hidden very well and was not discovered at all. After that, it lay dormant for a long time. Now, although it had reappeared, it only occupied the extremely cold eastern region and was isolated from other forces. Other than the killing order, almost no one from the Great Snow Mountain went out. There were many subsidiary forces like the Taishan sect in the Great Snow Mountain, but there were no restrictions on them. Today, angry roars could be heard from within the Great Snow Mountain. The reason was that 2 of the killing order envoys had been killed. This matter had attracted the attention of the Great Snow Mountain, and the Great Elder had directly ordered that the envoys be killed at all costs. Otherwise, the killing order of the Great Snow Mountain would be greatly deterred. After the order was issued, almost all of the envoys of the Great Snow Mountain were mobilized. Even the number 1 envoy, who was feared by the world, was mobilized. There were rumors that the number 1 envoy had already touched the threshold of the supremacy level and was only a step away from the supremacy level. There were also rumors that the number 1 envoy was an avatar of the Great Snow Mountain's lord. In short, there were different opinions. However, everyone was wary of the number 1 envoy of the Great Snow Mountain. What? The number 1 envoy has come out of seclusion? Heavens, even the number 1 envoy has been mobilized. Who is the person who received the killing order this time? I heard that 2 envoys of the killing order have already been killed by this person. That's why the Great Elder is so angry. In the Great Snow Mountain, the disciples' voices could be vaguely heard. When they talked about the number 1 envoy, their faces were filled with envy. Rustle. On the endless ice field, Fang Chen hurried forward. He seemed to be able to sense the existence of the Great Snow Mountain. However, at this moment, he suddenly stopped. Boom. He subconsciously moved his body a meter to the side. However, the space where he had just stopped exploded. A terrible airflow emerged and burned in an instant. In the next moment, one of the envoys of the Great Snow Mountain rushed toward Fang Chen. Die! This envoy of the Great Snow Mountain wanted to be the first to kill Fang Chen and then return to claim credit. However, he did not consider the consequences. What if the mission failed? Would he be able to survive? Of course, the moment he made his move, the outcome was already decided. With the fastest speed, Fang Chen circulated his 11th order true Saint Realm strength and blasted him to death, leaving him no chance to escape or send out a signal. No, the messenger of the Great Snow Mountain widened his eyes as he stared at Fang Chen. He could not believe what he was seeing. If he had to choose again, he would never be so rash. He would definitely work with the other envoys. They worked together to carry out the mission. Boom. The head of the emissary of the Great Snow Mountain shattered and his primordial spirit exploded. You finally can't hold it in anymore? Fang Chen's eyes flickered as he muttered to himself. Then, his figure flashed and disappeared from the vast icy plain. Whoosh, whoosh. Not long after he left, countless figures appeared. They were all emissaries from the Great Snow Mountain. When they saw the corpse of the emissary who had been killed, their faces darkened, and the atmosphere became very solemn. Voila! At this moment, the first emissary arrived. He was surrounded by a white-colored aura and arrived in front of the corpse in the blink of an eye. Seeing this, everyone retreated with fear in their eyes, making way for the first emissary. Idiot, you wanted to take credit, but you threw your life away. The first emissary merely glanced at the corpse and said coldly. Everyone fell silent. How could they not have the same thought? After all, The holder of the killing order had killed 2 emissaries in a row. If anyone could kill this person at this critical moment and bring back his head, they would definitely receive a reward from the Great Elder. It was just that no one dared to say it out loud. The first emissary turned around and his pitch-black eyes fell on everyone. Their bodies tensed up involuntarily and they lowered their heads, not daring to look him in the eye. The holder of the killing order is much stronger than we imagined. None of you are his opponent in a one-on-one battle, so don't take any chances. The first emissary said, in the following days, all of you will act together. If you find the target, inform me immediately. With so many emissaries working together, even if they couldn't defeat Fang Chen, they should be able to stall him. As for the first emissary, he was very strong and didn't need to travel with them. Everyone nodded. Who dared to disobey the first emissary? Once this man was angered, the consequences would be unimaginable. All right, let's move, the first emissary said. Soon, the other emissaries all left to follow Fang Chen's trail. Only the first emissary squatted in front of the corpse and stretched out his hand to touch the wound. Hiss. Blood flowed out from the wound. The first emissary carefully felt the marks on the wound. After a long time, he got up and looked into the distance. Interesting. The first emissary's lips curled into a strange smile. Immediately, he leaped and turned back in the direction of the Great Snow Mountain. As he got closer and closer to the Great Snow Mountain, Fang Chen's mood became heavier and heavier. He didn't know what was going on in the Great Snow Mountain, but he knew that once he was discovered, he would definitely be surrounded by the Great Snow Mountain. However, the killing order clearly had the aura of the chaotic realm. Was this related to the Great Snow Mountain Master? How could he find the Great Snow Mountain Master? This was also a headache for him. A few days later, Fang Chen easily avoided the pursuit of all the emissaries and arrived at the foot of the Great Snow Mountain. The first thing he saw was a snowy mountain that towered into the clouds. When he looked up, it was incomparably majestic. Snowflakes were constantly falling from the sky. These snowflakes crisscrossed and formed countless lines, as if to prevent outsiders from stepping into the mountain. Fang Chen's heart skipped a beat. What a big deal. The snowflakes falling from the sky were condensed into a peerless formation to guard the Great Snow Mountain. This formation was impossible for ordinary people to create. Fang Chen guessed that it was most likely the work of the Great Snow Mountain Master. He was even more curious about the identity of the Great Snow Mountain Master. Are you finally here? Suddenly, a voice came from the void, followed by the appearance of the first emissary. He stood halfway up the mountain and looked down at Fang Chen. He squinted his eyes and smiled. I thought it would take you at least 7 days to get here. Fang Chen's heart tightened. Could it be that the other party had already set up an inescapable trap here and was waiting for him? He hurriedly looked around but didn't find anything unusual. As if guessing his thoughts, the first emissary said, Other than me, no one knew that you would come here. End of chapter. Chapter 4009. Hearing the first envoy's words, Fang Chen was even more puzzled. Apart from the first envoy, no one else knew that he was here? Didn't this mean that the first envoy was deliberately waiting for him here? Did he already predict that he would come? Could it be related to the killing order? Or did he do it because of the special aura contained in the killing order? You knew I was coming. Fang Chen was expressionless. At this time, he could not reveal any flaws. Otherwise, he would be in a desperate situation. After all, it was still unclear whether the first envoy was an enemy or a friend. Of course I knew. Not only did I know that you were coming, but I also knew that you wanted to meet the master of the Great Snow Mountain. I also know that you are from the chaotic realm. As soon as he said this, Fang Chen's expression changed drastically. His pitch-black eyes stared fixedly at the first emissary. Who are you? Even though the first emissary had revealed his identity, he would not admit it until he had confirmed the identity of the first emissary. Who I am is not important. What is important is that after you got the killing order, you have been exploring its mysteries. This is enough to prove that you are from the chaotic realm. The first envoy said with a smile. Fang Chen could not guess what he was thinking. You are also from the chaotic realm? Fang Chen asked tentatively. The first envoy did not say anything and said with a smile, "The other envoys are almost here. In order to prevent you from being discovered by them, I will take you to a place." After saying this, the first envoy leaped and rushed directly to the top of the snow mountain. Seeing this, Fang Chen hesitated for a moment before following quickly. The killing order contained the aura of the chaotic realm. Obviously, the other envoys did not know about this. Only the first envoy knew. No matter what, he had to explore it. Crash. After a while, the first envoy brought Fang Chen to the top of the snow mountain. At a glance, it was like a paradise on earth. There was a powerful protective array around it. Once touched, an alarm would sound. The first envoy came to a remote corner with ease. There was a gap that could be entered and exited at will. He and Fang Chen entered the castle of the snow mountain. Along the way, the two of them were silent. After an hour, the first envoy stopped. Fang Chen looked up and saw an abyss in front of him. The surrounding cliffs were completely covered in snow and ice. There was no end in sight. "Why did you bring me here?" Fang Chen asked. "Haven't you been exploring the mysteries of the killing order? There is one below." While speaking, the first envoy pushed Fang Chen into the abyss as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, Fang Chen disappeared into the abyss. At this time, the first emissary noticed that someone had arrived behind him. He gently stomped his feet and the array formation vanished. The abyss returned to calm. "Sir, our men have searched the entire vicinity of the snowy mountains, but we were unable to find the person with the killing medallion." Numerous envoys arrived and reported to the first envoy. The first envoy raised his eyebrows slightly, seemingly unhappy. "Sir, we clearly sensed that the killing order seemed to be near the snow mountain, but when we reached the foot of the snow mountain, the connection with the killing order was broken. Our people can't sense the existence of the killing order anymore," one of the envoys said, puzzled. "Could it be that that person destroyed the killing order?" Another emissary asked. "Impossible. The killing order was made by the master himself. It is indestructible. Or, did he use some special method to seal the killing order?" The envoys were helpless. If they couldn't sense the aura of the killing order, they couldn't continue to track Fang Chen. They couldn't report to the higher-ups and could only ask the first envoy for help. After all, he was the most mysterious person in the snow mountain and rarely appeared. "Search the surroundings carefully. Don't miss any suspicious places. I will go personally," the first envoy said coldly. The envoys left to carry out the search. The first envoy stared at the abyss and fell into his memories. After a long time, the first envoy turned and left. In just a few days, the Taishen sect was completely conquered. Without the sect leader, the Taishen sect was no match for the other forces. They worked together to wipe out the Taishen sect, causing it to fall apart and disband. Many forces began to enter a long period of war and began to divide the territory of the Taishen sect. Every force wanted more. Since they couldn't reach a consensus, they could only start a war. Only the final winner deserved everything. Of course, the reverent king led his country's army and showed his super strength. He crushed all the other forces along the way. This scene caused a huge commotion in the Great Snow Mountains territory. Everyone was shocked. The reverent king had been hiding his strength. His country was so powerful. In the dark, the celestial demon Rat King was healing his wounds while gathering information. When he learned that the reverent king was also involved in the war, he was furious. "Humph, despicable guy. From now on, your country will never have peace." As for the Shenlong city, its gates were tightly shut, afraid that it would be affected by the war. Everyone's attention was attracted by the war. They had long forgotten about the mysterious owner of VIP Room 9 at the Shenlong auction. The Shenlong Pavilion master stood on the top floor of the Shenlong Pavilion and looked into the distance through the window. "Pavilion master, that lord has replied," the first elder said in a low voice. "Tell me," the Shenlong Pavilion master hurriedly said. "That lord said that everything is under his control. He said that we have done well. He will keep his promise," the first elder said. That mysterious expert was the one who sent the heavenly source stone. At first, He asked the Xianlong Pavilion master to bring the person who bought the stone to him. Later, he changed his mind and left. The Xianlong Pavilion master had been worried about this matter. Now, there was finally a reply. When will the item be delivered? The Xianlong Pavilion master asked. When he cooperated with that mysterious expert, the latter promised many benefits. It'll take 3 days at most, the first elder said. The Xianlong Pavilion master heaved a sigh of relief. He could finally get those items. They were crucial for the development of the Xianlong Pavilion. However, at this moment, a figure stood on top of a tall building in the Xianlong city. No one noticed that the black-robed figure was looking in the direction of the Xianlong Pavilion. Only the dead can keep secrets forever, the black-robed figure muttered to himself. Chapter 40:10. The abyss covered in ice and snow was also a forbidden place of the Great Snow Mountain. Very few people would come here. Of course, most of them did not dare to come close because there were rumors that as long as they approached the abyss, they would be pulled in by the strong attraction force inside. And once they fell into the abyss, there was basically no chance of survival. This was also why after the first emissary pushed Fang Chen down, the other emissaries who rushed over only reported and hurriedly left because they were all afraid of the abyss behind the first emissary. However, what was unexpected was that the bottom of the abyss was completely different from the outside world. Looking down from above, the abyss was covered in ice and snow, like an ice cellar, and there was a suffocating cold aura at all times. However, at the bottom of the abyss, it was like spring all year round, and there were lush green weeds everywhere. In a patch of weeds, a figure was lying there. He was unconscious and his body was seriously injured, but his life was not in danger. His body was enveloped by the ultimate power. He was Fang Chen, who was pushed down by the first emissary. If not for the ultimate power, he would have been smashed to pieces at such a high distance, no matter how strong he was. Suddenly, a lion slowly walked over. It was huge and stood in front of Fang Chen, staring at him curiously with its gong-sized eyes. After a long time, it tentatively stuck out its tongue and rubbed Fang Chen's cheek. There was no movement. The lion was puzzled, thinking that the human was dead. It bit Fang Chen's foot and forcefully dragged him into a cave not far away. In the cave, there was a bald old man sitting cross-legged on a yellow futon. His hands were clasped together and he was chanting scriptures. There was a Buddhist brand on his forehead and he looked dignified, like a god. Clang. After the lion dragged Fang Chen into the cave, it threw him on the ground with a clang. The old monk opened his eyes and said, "You're finally here?" He walked forward and pressed his hands on Fang Chen's body. An endless stream of power was constantly injected into the latter's body. After a while, Fang Chen's heartbeat returned to normal and his breathing became even. The lion shook its huge head and looked at the bald monk in confusion. The latter smiled and said, "You can go out first. Leave him to me." Although the lion could not speak, it heard the bald monk's words. It nodded and left the cave. "For countless years, I have been here, waiting for the people of the Chaos Realm to come. Even I have forgotten how long it has been. I didn't expect that they would finally come." The bald monk muttered to himself, tears welling up in his eyes. Buzz. The Buddhist power in his body. Fang Chen felt pain spread throughout his body. It was as if his entire body was about to fall apart. He opened his eyes with great difficulty and saw an unfamiliar environment. He subconsciously became alert. At this moment, a peaceful voice sounded in his ears. "You're awake." The bald monk looked at Fang Chen with a smile. The latter got up from the ground. When he saw the bald monk, he was puzzled. "Master, were you the one who saved me?" His only memory was that he was pushed into the abyss by the first emissary and then fell into a coma. He looked around. This was an unfamiliar cave. Could it be under the abyss? Then who was this bald monk in front of him? However, when he asked this question, he instantly felt that something was wrong in his body. The ultimate power was circulating and the injuries in his body had healed. However, there was an additional trace of special power. Obviously, this special power came from the bald monk. "Senior, are you from the Chaos Realm?" After sensing this familiar aura, Fang Chen was shocked and hurriedly asked. Who else could have the aura of the Chaos Realm other than the people of the Chaos Realm? The bald monk nodded and said, "You and I are of the same origin. I have been waiting for you here." "Waiting for me?" Fang Chen was stunned and puzzled. "If my guess is correct, you should have received the kill order and came here, right?" The bald monk asked. Fang Chen nodded. He had received the kill order and sensed a trace of the Chaos Realm aura contained within it. Therefore, he followed it all the way to the Great Snow Mountain. Who would have thought that he would be pushed into the abyss by the first emissary? Wait. The first emissary. If it wasn't for the first emissary, he would have only gone to find the master of the Great Snow Mountain and would not have come to the abyss. Could it be that the first emissary of the Great Snow Mountain was also from the Chaos Realm? But he did not sense a familiar aura from him. Fang Chen fell into deep thought. The bald monk smiled and said, "You should have guessed it by now. The kill order was not created for the purpose of killing. It was created to find people of the same origin. People of the same origin referred to people of the Chaos Realm." As expected. Fang Chen was shocked and stared at the bald monk. "Senior, are you the legendary master of the Great Snow Mountain?" Because the kill order was personally created by the master of the Great Snow Mountain, Fang Chen could not think of any other identity of the bald monk in front of him, who was in the forbidden land of the Great Snow Mountain and was also from the Chaos Realm. "I am not." The bald monk shook his head. He was indeed not the master of the Great Snow Mountain, but he had participated in the creation of the kill order. "After so many years, we've been waiting for countless people with the kill order. Most of them were heinous people who deserved to be killed. They all died at the hands of the people with the kill order. Some of them even came to the Great Snow Mountain and were killed by the first messenger." The bald monk continued, "Those who could come to the abyss were all from the Chaos Realm. Unfortunately, they all died in the end." Died? Fang Chen's eyes widened. At the same time, he was shocked. It turned out that the Great Snow Mountain had been using the kill order to find people from the primal Chaos Realm. Of course, those who didn't belong to the primal Chaos Realm were evil people who deserved to be killed. It could be considered as getting rid of evil for the people. However, he was a little puzzled. Those who came to the Great Snow Mountain should be from the Chaos Realm, right? Why did the first emissary kill a group of them? Did they have to be screened to enter the abyss? However, the bald monk's explanation made Fang Chen completely understand. In fact, those who received the kill order and came to the Great Snow Mountain were not all from the Chaos Realm. There were many experts from the Devouring Demon Clan who were arrogant and conceited. They claimed that the Devouring Demon Clan was the overlord of the Source World and threatened the Great Snow Mountain. In the end, they were all killed by the first emissary. The rest were indeed from the Chaos Realm and were sent to the abyss by the first emissary. However, he did not understand why those who entered the abyss all died in the end.